Alright, so welcome everybody to World Desert Championship, Gamerlegion A, Viper+TaToH and Jordan on the left side versus right side is going to be Heresy, a 4-player team with one backup. We will have Miguel+Dogao+Sitaux and Dogao playing first, so it looks like Lan is not going to play in the first game. We will have in cold colors TaToH as blue Vikings flank, the pocket is going to be Franks as Viper in green, and Jordan will be the other flank in Chinese, in teal. Other side will be Sitaux, with his new team. I'm not even sure what MYI stands for. I read it, but I forgot the name. But it's a brand new team for Sitaux. He's playing red Ethiopians. Right side will be Dogao for Britons in purple. And yellow will be Persians for Miguel here in the pocket. The tournament itself is about $8,000 prize pool, sponsored by an individual. And the concept is that you will have a lot of deserty maps. It's a team game event, but it features some 1v1 segments, so you will see what I'm talking about in game number 2, where game number 2 is actually a best of 3 1v1s. So instead of a team game, you have 3 1v1s, and you play a best of 3, and whoever wins that gets a score for game number 2. That's basically how it works, but it's mostly a team game event, and one of the reasons why Miguel's team or Dogao's team could actually upset GL here is because, in general, this tournament could have some upsets because the maps are sort of unique, some of them are quite gimmicky, so you can definitely mess around with some surprising strategies or so. Anyways, the map is the random map in the first game, so you're not opening Arabia, you open with a random map from the map pool. So I have no idea how this map is called, but basically the concept is that you have like a sort of a peninsula over here. There is actual water here, but it looks like no one is actually docking this one. You also have some water behind you, and it very much seems like the majority of the gold on the map is here, scattered across this back area. This is called Tar. Okay. This is the first time I'm actually casting World Desert Championship, so there were some good sets before, but they were either overlapping with other things, or just I flat out had no time to cast them. So this is my first set over here. I was planning to do a map introduction video for the event, but there were so many maps and the format was so complicated that I didn't have the time to like overview the settings and go through everything. So, as I said, what do we have? Vikings, Chinese, Franks versus Persians, Britons, Ethiopians. I actually like the Persian-Ethiopian-Briton combination a lot more. Ethiopians have great archers, Britons will boost them as well with the faster working ranges. Persians have the extra attack against archers. Persians can also go for a nice fishing eco here. And in fact, it looks like TaToH with the Vikings flank and Miguel with the Persians pocket will be the only players that will be going for a fishing eco for a time being. This will be spotted by Viper, so he's going to forward this to his teammates, telling them, look, there is going to be some fishing operations here by Miguel. He's the only player that can actually do that. From his team, it looks like we'll have team walls coming up from Gamerlegion on the left side. Viper already walling his front. And I would think that considering that there is just big emptiness in the middle, it's very possible that a fast castle from one of the flanks could be done. Because the thing is that, let's say the opponent is going archers with 2 flanks and scouts as the pocket. Considering how well volable this map is in terms of team walls, and considering the distance to cover, plus the fact that you have to venture through a completely open area which leaves your archers exposed to the opponent's scouts, I would think that one player from either side could technically gamble on a fast castle play. So let's see if that's going to be the case. Apparently not from Heresy, but speaking of fast castles, is Viper going to consider something like that? It would be a very, very ambitious fast castle. 22 Veils is brutal. But you have to consider he's got the Frankish berry bonus, and he also is milling huntables here. So it's possible, especially because Viper is adding more Veils. Viper is going for a fast castle. That's definitely ambitious given the fact that the front of their base is open. And one of the unique things about this tournament is that these maps are very unique and there is no meta figured out for them. So the players are also experimenting in live settings pretty much themselves. So we don't know if a fast castle gamble is worth it here. I actually think that it's not. Although Miguel might be doing something similar as well. Is this hidden break or no repeat, or there was a civ draft? It's a little bit more complicated than that. There is no civ draft. However, as we have a bit of a scuffle here with the scouts, Dogao is going to lose his scout. And after all, this is a win for Heresy here. Look at this. They pick off all the scouts and Sitaux was able to keep his own scout in here. He's trying to block those walls as long as possible to allow Miguel to bring in a couple of scouts himself. And it looks like Jordan barely survives against a lion here on the right side. So team wars will be up, although honestly TaToH doesn't want to do team wars. He's like, okay guys, you can have your wars, I'm just gonna play open. But that is a disaster for him, I believe. I mean, he's gonna have to make a defensive tower, he's gonna have to potentially defend against scouts, and this just leaves the back of Viper and even Jordan very exposed as well. So all these walls are useless if TaToH is not warning the left, and scouts are now coming in. Fire Galley is also from Miguel. So this map is very, very macro intensive for the pocket players, especially if the pocket is playing water. It looks like TaToH will just go for defensive galleys in an effort to protect his fishing eco, but in low numbers, the fire galleys should have a clear advantage. So 2 fire galleys should be able to clap this one from TaToH, and TaToH soon is going to have to defend against those scouts. Indeed, here they come, and the walls will be just a little too late from TaToH. Scouts are now in, and that's a disaster for Gamerlegion to start with. And the thing is that Viper is going for a fast castle, that's totally true. But there is one thing to add. Miguel has fishing eco, which means that while Miguel is not going for a fast castle, he still has fishing eco to catch up in terms of food count. So I feel like Miguel will not be that much behind in castle age timing. 2 more wheels down from TaToH, so the Viking eco advantage with the free wheelbarrow is almost gone, to be honest. So another wheel goes down. This is pure value for Miguel. Now, Miguel needs to be careful because he apparently wasn't focusing on his fleet, and now TaToH brings in a couple of galleys, and galleys kill fishing ships so fast that Miguel could lose 5 eco here, and then TaToH could easily retaliate for those villager losses, although TaToH keeps losing vills, and now archers are inside the base of TaToH as well. And the thing is that TaToH is not actually fighting anything on land. TaToH is only going for ships, which means that he might be able to push the fishing eco of Miguel here, but in exchange, his eco is going to be exposed to just a couple of archers. TaToH already had to make a defensive tower, now he's on stone, and Jordan will be forced to defend his teammate here. TaToH has an awful lot of idle time, and by the way, ships can actually sail this sandy area, as TaToH was able to take down some fishing ships from Miguel. Miguel saves 2 for the time being, and we will see if Miguel is actually going to go for a couple more fire galleys to fight this one. TaToH is definitely distracted, so it's possible fire galleys can just chase down those galleys here. Anyways, we're gonna have Viper almost in castle age. Miguel, not so much, and it looks like we have a pause. So is it a pause, or are we dropping? That was awkward. That was very awkward. It might have been a lag spike for my internet. But anyways, we're back. So, as things stand, in terms of galleys, TaToH is probably controlling water, although he himself doesn't have an amazing fishing eco, and if you look at the resources, yes, Viper is the first player to castle age. There's a lot of things happening, by the way, like archers trying to push Viper. Viper lost the will here on the berries. Other side, Archers now break in and Viper is falling apart. Viper has knights, but at this point, I think that Heresy is just content to trade army to actual villagers. Viper is at 23 vills. And the thing is that, as I said, Viper is up to Castle Age, but he's the only player in Castleverse. If you take a look at the other team, Heresy, all three of the players will be going into Castle Age in a matter of moments. There's so many things happening here. There's water engagements. There is still like random scouts in here. And this can all be traced back to the fact that I feel like that was a little too late rolling. Now here's the deal though. Viper has knights and there is quite a lot of archers from Jordan. But keep in mind, TaToH is only water. Now if TaToH is given time to boom on water, he's going to snowball everything with Vikings and Imperial. But for now, it looks like TaToH is the only player that is not going for land. So, 3 Castle Age players soon for Heresy, and they will also have Persian Knights. Persian Knights will allow you to kill archers super easily. This is, however, a late roll as well from Sitaux, so just as much as TaToH was late rolling, I think Sitaux was also quite late rolling here, and they will have to dispatch quite a lot of archers from our purple player as well. Force a defensive tower, and that's a disaster now for Sitaux. Big disaster for Sitaux. All the advantage that they had is now gone. Added to the fact that TaToH is sailing up on these sand dunes with the galleys to try and harass the wood line of Miguel, and I feel like the momentum is sort of disappearing for Heresy. I also don't understand how is it possible that Miguel didn't find... Oh, Miguel. Miguel, man. How is this even possible? Obviously, Miguel's eco is weaker than Viper, or Miguel's eco was weaker than Viper's eco, because he didn't find 2 of his sheep that were like 15 tiles away from his TC. And now what's even worse, these crossbows getting caught off guard and the complete miscoordination of Heresy is just ending in disaster. That's a massive mistake from Dogao. He loses his entire army just before the Castle Age upgrades, and now this has Gamerlegion written all over it. In just a couple of sudden moments, this starts to shift really heavily. Because now TaToH is also on the way towards Castle Age, and remember, TaToH's got a crazy fish boom, so also he's able to do such things, harass Veils out here. He's just everywhere. And as things stand, army numbers are still pretty close, but I just feel like GL seems to have a slightly better momentum. Still, this game could be very chaotic because there's so many things happening. Galleys trying to deny the TC here. The good news for Heresy is that they are still not completely dead, but all the advantage that they had is now gone. So now we're gonna have crossbows coming in here for Sitaux, but once again he's pushing alone. And one of the things that we need to point out is that while Miguel and Dogao have very good coordination because they play a lot together, they have absolutely zero chemistry with Sitaux. Sitaux basically signed up for this event with them. Technically, I thought he's the backup player and Lan is gonna be the third player because Lan has quite a lot of history playing together with Miguel and Dogao. However, it very much seems like Lan is not gonna play, at least in the first game, so Sitaux gets the job. Now TaToH is going to add 2 more TCs for a grand total of 3. Everyone else from Heresy, other than, well, Miguel and Dogao, is 1 TC. So Sitaux is actually going for a 1 TC play. In this one, grabs Ballistics. Nice heal here for Jordan to hold, and he alone has more crossbows than Sitaux and Dogao. And the thing is, as I said, that while that happens, TaToH secures the water with longboats, and keep in mind that water is not just about the fishing. It's about cutting this passage off. And think about it this way. Where do you want to trade? You want to trade here and here. TaToH's longboat play here could pay off, and I doubted him going for full water, but it seems like Gamerlegion may have interpreted how this map plays out a little bit better, because especially after Dogao's army got annihilated, the thing is that Jordan can alone hold the 2 crossbow players. That's the big deal. Because Miguel and Dogao are supposed to have a lot more archers than just Jordan alone. And just basically play a 3 versus 2 on land and finish off the game fast. The thing, however, is that Now TaToH is controlling the waters and he's going to do insane damage with these ships. He's just going to pretty much destroy any late game opportunity for Heresy. So Heresy needs to win the game very, very soon here. Otherwise, I don't know how they could outlast GL in the long run, because those ships for TaToH will pay off, especially once he secured water. He's going to start adding archers himself. Now those are still Ethiopian crossbows for Sitaux, and it seems like this may not be enough for GL to hold. And as I said, as long as TaToH is not contributing on land, the winning recipe for Heresy is that they need to have a 3 versus 2 on land and just finish off their opponents on land before TaToH's ships can actually start becoming a factor. But they're already doing quite a lot of harassment at the back of Heresy's bases. And the other thing I'm very surprised about is how low the knight count is for Miguel. Because Miguel has no knights on the field. Viper still has 13, and I just feel like I'm a little bit confused here. I'm really unsure how is it possible that Miguel's knight numbers are this low. He was probably focusing quite a lot. Oh, that's how. That explains a lot. Viper has 3 knights here, and this could be so many Wheels dead, because the TC is getting taken down by the longboats. The coordination is perfect here for GL. Viper takes down the Wheels, and TaToH takes down the TC, so the Wheels have nowhere to go. And Miguel is getting annihilated here. He's got no wood income. That's probably why he doesn't have knights. He just wasn't able to afford farms. And Miguel seems like he's dying here. That being said, Miguel is still 51 wheels, Viper is 41. So Viper's wheel count isn't amazing either. And you have to keep in mind that Heresy's overall eco is still stronger. And the thing is that Jordan has to hold against 2 archer players alone. And Viper only has 10 knights. And he doesn't have a huge eco. So Miguel sort of is dying right now, but he's still more alive than Viper is. And I feel like this is the moment where Dogao and Sitaux have to commit to this. They actually have to do insane damage to Viper. Because otherwise, if they don't, Viper is gonna be able to boom up, because now he's free TC and Miguel is gonna have no chance of booming up here. Heresy is on a serious timer here. Now it looks like Jordan is gonna go for lead skirms, you know, capitalizing on the fact that his opponent has just +1 defense knights. Those are some very underwhelming forces for Miguel. Like, +1 defense knights and only 4 of them is just not satisfactory here. And without a cavalry player, they can't deal with skirms. And, I mean, Dogao and Sitaux are poking and probing, picking off wheels, and they still have the eco lead. But in the grand scheme of things, they are not advancing in this game anywhere. They're sort of stuck in this castle age level, and at some point TaToH's ships here will start materializing, or TaToH's fishing eco. And it very much seems like Gamerlegion's game plan here was a little bit more dangerous. It's a risky game plan to give up 1 player on land entirely, but it seems to pay off. I think part of the reason why it pays off is because Heresy is not aggressive enough here, and miscoordinations like these are unacceptable against a team like GL. Because I think Heresy had its moments, but losing 15 crossbows like that is just not something that you can afford to have. There is very little coordination between the Heresy members right now in terms of having their armies around. Like, this red army is alone, which means that once again this could be sandwiched by 15 knights and you could lose all of them, and that's how their misery started, so to say, with Dogao losing all his archers before they could be upgraded to crossbows. Imperial Age will come in for Dogao as well, and he's gonna have the 10 range Briton Arbs. But I would think that now we're just going to see Siege Ram and Arbalest from TaToH. And the thing is that TaToH can afford to go for Siege Ram, and Heresy will have 0 answer, and this is why I was telling you, they just split up their armies so much. And I think what is winning the game for Gamerlegion is 2 things. Because as things stand, despite the fact that they're behind in eco, I feel like they are now in a winning position by a massive margin. Although the Knights here could jump out on the skirms, they still don't have +2 defense. Like, that is how much Miguel was set back by all these harassments. And as I said, there are 2 things that go for Gamerlegion here. 1, team coordination. 2 is better game plan for this map. These are things that GL is known for. Very good team chemistry, and very good preparation or very good game plan for the games. And indeed, those are siege workshops a little late from TaToH. Ideally, you are gonna have a huge amount of rams by the time you reach Imperial, but it's still in time because Heresy is nowhere close to stopping siege rams right now. And I feel like Heresy didn't commit to a fight where they could have had. So, yeah, the other thing is once again the game plan. Because it feels awkward that you only have your pocket fishing. It very much seems like as if Heresy just believed that GL won't go for water. Heresy wanted to go for a very, very land-heavy game, as Sitaux definitely wants a castle up in case you were wondering. So, it looks like Heresy tried to go for a land-heavy game, whereas GL wanted to go for sort of a hybrid style layout, and that's probably the better setup here. The castle does go up, but Sitaux's eco is pretty much completely idle. Only one player Imperial from both teams. It's gonna be Dogao versus TaToH, but TaToH's gonna have siege rams overall. Other side, we will have Imperial coming in here for Jordan as well. Jordan is still 1 TC, so this could be enough, to be honest. Dogao has to do massive carrying here. Like, Dogao has to do the biggest carrying in human history, basically. Because he still has 48 soon-to-be Briton Orbs, and the Briton Orbs will outrange the blue Orbs here very, very easily. But they don't have answer to siege rams. So the only way this works out for Heresy is if those Orbs are actually able to like run into the eco of TaToH and just rampage the entire thing and make TaToH unable to continue his push. Jordan is gonna be up to Imperial. However, he doesn't really have eco nor army. He's at 12 crossbows and 57 eco. So Jordan's not gonna be a factor for some time. Viper is clicking into Imperial though with Franks. He's getting a decent amount of cavalry out. Keep in mind that, like, look at this. Look at the amount of damage that Viper is able to do with just a couple of knights. The coordination of TaToH and Viper here at denying the expansion around this area is crazy. And look at that. TaToH also sneaks around with a couple of orbs. They are all about denying the trade, and this is why I'm saying that Heresy needs to win this game really fast, because they will never have trade. They just don't have the capacity to clean up all the mess that is in here. Arbalasts, knights, longbows, and it looks like TaToH will loop all the way around, knowing that his opponents can just kill his orbs here, because the longbows would help them, and Dogao is going to start losing eco really rapidly. Heresy still has the eco lead, but I feel like it's about Jordan being the punching bag here, while you're gonna have TaToH with siege ram soon, and TaToH Viper combined both in Imperial should be enough to snowball this game, because Imperial Age is coming in here for Miguel, but I mean, he's got 25 on food with 10 knights. So we're gonna have absolute pain and death here for Heresy. As I said, they let TaToH slip away with water control so much. TaToH had a completely untouched fish boom for the majority of the game, and now he's just able to steamroll everything with siege ram. And the difference between Dogao's push with the orbs and TaToH's push is that TaToH actually has siege backing it up, so he can knock down TCs, he can knock down castles, whereas on the other side, there's just no siege to back this one up, and Jordan will just try to play defensive, hold this one, and grind down the opponent's numbers while TaToH finishes off the game. Viper should soon arrive with his heavy cavalry as well, as TaToH's longbows are still causing insane pain for their opponents, and a castle drop from Sitaux. I feel like that's pure desperation, but even that is going to be disaster. Look at that, all the forward wheels will get picked off. Sitaux was trying to castle drop Jordan here, but Jordan is not the problem in this game. Jordan is just dying slowly, and he's doing that so well. He's slowing down everybody on the opponent, basically. He's even sort of luring in a castle drop. Dogao is all out focused on finishing off Jordan. The problem for Heresy, as I said, is that siege rams will be coming in here, and Sitaux will be just as much dead as Jordan is, if not more. But then they will just go straight into Miguel's eco. The only way Miguel would be able to fight this one is if he's able to get a bunch of cavalry or paladin on the field with Persians. because the Persians would actually allow you to, you know, get extra damage against Arbalests, but even then it's going to be nearly impossible. And do you know what Miguel doesn't have? Gold. He doesn't have gold because Viper+TaToH have been raiding this area for a long time, destroying the TCs, and indeed, Jordan even stops Sitaux's castle drop in. Overall, as I said, coordination for Gamerlegion was better, and also, I believe that Miguel's team took some very, very bad fights over here. I should actually edit the names. We can just call this Heresy, and we can call this Gamerlegion A. So basically, coordination was better for GL, and I also liked their game plan a lot more. So it was a risky game plan, I'm not gonna lie, and Heresy played it one smart. So they went with the aggressive fuel age pressure. I think if TaToH was a little bit more at the beginning, this could have been a lot safer. But the fishing eco paid off so well for TaToH. I think TaToH might have had the best eco overall. Indeed, look at this. This is the difference maker. That TaToH was completely untouched with his fish boom and ended up having by far the best economy in this game. And with that, now Gamerlegion takes game number 1. And this is the moment where we transition to the second game stage, which is going to be a little bit complicated to explain. So here is the deal. The way that this is going to be played is that you will have a best of 3 1v1s, and whoever wins that best of 3 will get 1 more point. So instead of having like game number 2 that's a team game, you will have a best of 3 1v1s, and the overall winner of that best of 3 will be the one that gets the score for what would be game number 2 here. So, not sure who's gonna play for Gamerlegion. I think that you kind of have to have everybody playing, sort of. So, especially if it's a best of 3, I don't think that you can repeat players. This is not Arabia Invitational. Let's get rid of this. Boom. So, this is a chance for Heresy. Now, the main question is, how do you match up your players? Because one thing to consider is that as I said, one thing to consider is that you might want to have one of your tougher players. Like, at this point, Viper is probably the strongest player on GL. So the question is, are you bringing in your strongest player to fight against Viper and then potentially lose? Or the alternative is that you bring in one of your weaker players, like Sitaux or Lan, and then just try to win using using the fact that you have the upper hand in the other 2 matchups. Both of those could be possible. So, it very much seems like we don't have anyone in the lobby just yet. How did I get that profile pic? There was an AoE free related event, and that's the AoE free musketeer icon. It was AoE free. Yeah, that's an event icon. It was, I think it was when AoE free DE got released. You had to do some quests in AoE free to get that. There's a couple of things, like the capybara. I'm actually sad about this one. I wanted to grab the capybara, but it was too much work. So, I wasn't able to grab that. Alright, so it very much seems like we don't have another game yet. And we will continue with game number 2. So, well, technically game number 2. I'm actually going to bring back Capture Age, although you can't see anything in this one. So, as things stand, we are going to have Jordan playing, apparently. So, Jordan might be the one that actually grabs... or is he? Nope. Yeah, Jordan plays versus Sitaux. So it looks like GL had to tell the opponent's team which player plays, probably because they won the first game. And it looks like Heresy will actually bring in probably their weakest player so far. Jordan versus Sitaux will be the game over here. So let's look for MYI Sitaux. This is still the previous game, but we're gonna have Sitaux versus Jordan. Map is sort of unknown yet. There is like a huge amount of maps. And it looks like we're going to Taklamakan. Alright, I'm gonna try and bring up the maps for you guys, so we can actually evaluate that while we're waiting here for the next game to launch. So let's see, rules and settings. And the map guide. That's exactly what I want. Taklamakan. Is it possible there is a map? Wait. Oh yeah, here it is, Taklamakan, but we might not have a screenshot for it. Yeah, it very much seems like we don't have a screenshot, which means that I'm gonna have to show you guys what exactly that is. Where is that? Oh, nope. Custom Taklamakan. So this is how Taklamakan is going to look like. It's going to be a 1v1. This is how it look. Oh, it's a double TC start. Holy smokes. Oh man, this is gonna be a pain. Double TC start. Oh boy. That explains why Jordan has taken it, I think. Because I think GL is more confident in like Jordan's macro than like Sitau's macro overall. But yeah, I'm actually a big fan of double TC starts, so I'm curious how that's going to be unfolding. It very much seems like, okay, Jordan is in the lobby, Sitaux not yet. So we're waiting for Sitaux to join up as well. Didn't Jordan go very in a double T tournament? I don't remember what very far. I don't remember. There was a double TC tournament like what a couple months ago, and in that, I don't remember. I don't even remember Jordan playing. I remember that the finals was, I think, it may have been Brew versus Winchester or something like that. The score right now is 1-0 for Gamerlegion. We're waiting for the next game to launch up. Okay. We're just waiting for Sitaux. So I don't know where Sitaux is at, but we're going to play Taklamakan. He got to the quarterfinal. We can actually look into that. Let's see. Double Cup. The event was called Double Cup, and it had a lot of like double TC start maps. Yeah, he got into the winners bracket semifinals, and then he lost 3-2 to Bacti in the losers semifinals. It was double elimination tournament. So in that event, Jordan beat Noisik 3-2, then beat Bacti 3-2, lost to Winchester 3-1. On the losers bracket, he 3-0'd ACCM, and then lost 3-2 to Bacti. So he seems to be good on double TC starts, although Bacti has had very, very close sets with him in both of their matchups. But yeah, it looks like Jordan likes to play this double TC start. Now, one thing that we have to talk about when it comes to double TC start is that this is a completely different starting scenario. Like, the thing is that double TC start means that you have a completely different eco balance. It's not just doing the exact same things, just at two different places. So your eco will be all over the place. You might see villagers being lost to boars here. This is definitely a place where Sitaux could struggle, because I have seen double cup, and I have seen players like Mr. Yo struggling with the double TC start as well. So it's so unique. You specifically have to prepare for a double TC start, to be honest. But oh, no one else from GL participated in double cup. That sort of explains why Jordan is the one playing this map. Although they could have chosen something else, maybe they didn't feel confident about the other maps. This feels like a fairly standard open style map with a double TC start, and they probably feel like they can actually push off Sitaux into a tough position with a double town center start. Now, in terms of civilization selections, that's very important. It's not hidden free pick. You have a certain pool of civilizations that you can select from. Each map has a pool of 7 civilizations. And Taklamakan Chinese, Mongols, Koreans, Tatars, Turks, Indians, and Persians. Where is the game at? They are in game. Okay, now it shows up. Good. I got scared for a moment. So yeah, out of these, Indians with the cheaper vills seems reasonable. And that's probably all of it, honestly. So now we're going into game number 2 here. As I said, this is a mini best of 3 in between the Gamerlegion players and the Heresy players here. And while Persians seem like it's a good idea because the double TC means double production. But the thing is that you don't have the food at the beginning. The big trick with the double TC start is that you don't have the food to produce on both TCs immediately. Why don't you show a snippet of Twitch chat on screen? Because it's kind of controversial. Many people dislike it because it blocks some space and I don't have anywhere else to put it. Like, I could move this panel up, but that would look somewhat ugly. I was considering re-adding it. Back in the days I used it, but there were some people that were saying that, you know, it blocks so much of the space, and I partially agree. Especially in team games, the screen can be so saturated with information that you don't want to take up more space from the battlefield with the on-screen chat. But I was thinking about adding it back. So, anyways, the idea with not picking Persians is that while the 2 Persian TCs work faster, you just don't have the food eco to keep producing on both. This is one of the reasons why you already have Loom for the players. You see that they are getting Loom here because they just don't have the food to make 2 TCs work. And that is the reason why Indians is actually a nice civilization to play here. The cheaper vills helps a little bit. We're gonna have, for now, 18 vills on both sides. As you see, the players started quite a lot of houses and yurts, so housing is not an issue. overall. So yeah, even if Hans was available, in general, Hans is the best double TC start civ because you have no need to build houses, which helps quite a bit with the macro. But that wasn't available in the map pool, and even if it was, it doesn't matter that much because you got houses or yurts to start with. Now, once again, I have to say that it is insanely hard to micro or macro all of your TCs here, so I am pleasantly surprised by the fact that Sitaux is pushing in the air. So it's insanely hard to think about just using 2 TCs to produce wills and then still pushing in the air on the other. That is a lot of macro that you need. And one of the special things about double TC starts is that you can group up your scouts and 2 Dark Age scouts can kill a will with Loom. So that's exactly what Jordan wants to do here. Notice that, as I said, you don't just mirror the 2 things that you do on both town centers. You have like one TC that's dedicated as a lumberjacking operation. The other one is more of a food gathering place. So in a double town center start, you are trying to optimize things in a way that, you know, you don't make 2 lumber camps for nothing. It's better to have a lumber camp that's saturated a little bit more with vills. Exactly because of this one, the double TC starts basically use sort of unique build orders, and that is why it is so hard to be good at double TC start, because it's not just doing the same thing just twice. Anyways, this map doesn't seem to have any boars in it, which makes life easier when it comes to early eco, because if you would have to lure in boars on both TCs, that would take quite a lot of APM, because that's where you can easily lose vills. And it looks like Sitaux is going to click into Feudal Age a little faster than Jordan does, and this is what I was referring to. You see that Jordan clicks up to Feudal right now, but his food eco was not as good as the one from Sitaux, and he also has idle time on the other TC. The one thing that you have to keep in mind when you play double town centers is that even while you're going up, you have to queue up vills on the other town center, and soon you're gonna have to drop a huge amount of farms here. For Sitaux, I would assume that he wants to go for scouts, which I think is the right thing to do. In general, scouts is the name of the game in double TC plays, or in general. So in general, what you can do is just have mobility, because you need mobility to protect both of your bases. You see that Sitaux is gonna have his production buildings here, so if he went to play just straight archers, those archers would have a tough time helping to defend this part of his base. So you always want some highly mobile units in double TC games. Usually scouts, knights, in this case camels or cav archers could be a thing as well. Now it's 2 Feudal Age scouts soon for Jordan, and he's waiting for a will kill. Same thing here for Sitaux. So both players are trying to get a villager kill early on. In this one, it looks like Jordan's gonna go for a defensive approach though, and just send his scouts back to clean up the opponent's scouts. So we're gonna have Sitaux coming in here, losing the first scout, and indeed the stable comes in for Jordan as well. One of the other special things about double TC start is that oftentimes Feudal Age is a lot shorter than normal, because the players are able to accumulate a large amount of resources in Dark Age, because they generally have a much stronger eco than in the case of like standard 1v1s. So it looks like Jordan is going to try and pick off those spearmen with his own spears. And this is the problem for Jordan. Look at this. He's got the stable here, but the barracks here. Which means that he's going to take some time to bring in the spearmen to defend, and that's going to result in one villager being lost. Nice start from Sitaux. Other than that, both players have even idle times on their TCs. Sitaux is playing wide open, which I somewhat disapprove, because a counterattack from Jordan could cause insane damage. But Jordan walling off one of his bases will help quite a bit at just focusing his defensive efforts on the other one. Now it's 4 scouts from Sitaux, who is going to jump the spearman. This gives some time for Jordan to do quick walls. Just in time for Jordan. That was a clutch quick wall over there, and he was able to finish off 1 scout, and a spearman also goes down. Scouts also lost the HP there. Food count looking slightly better for Sitaux though. He's got horse color. He already has about 11 farms. Jordan going up to 6. 6, that's basically the same thing as well. So, at this point, both players seem to have a comparable food ecos. Sitaux tries to yoink a Will here, but that's no snipe over there. Might have been overly ambitious trying to snipe full HP Wills from right next to town centers. So, now, here comes the counterattack from Jordan. And as I said, if you play 2 TCs, you gotta wall yourself. And the reason why you have to do it is because, as I said, Sitaux doesn't have any production over here. And that's -1 Will from our Frenchman here, just because his barracks and stable are all on the left side. Always, always, always. The segment or the part of your base that doesn't have any production in it, you gotta wall it off. Because otherwise, your opponent will just focus his efforts on that side, and you will just get destroyed. Oh, look at Jordan immediately trapping those spearmen as well. I feel like the start was better for Sitaux, but now Jordan is taking over, I would say. So, it very much seems like we're gonna have some archers coming in from Sitaux, but that's just the wrong direction. I feel like this map is so much about scout spears, and then just continue on with Cav Archer transition. That's something I can imagine. But foot archers, I'm not a big fan at all, to be honest. It's actually a bad decision, I believe, from Sitaux. Not the end of the world, and Jordan's gonna have a somewhat hard time defending against this one. But as a Teutonic guy, thank you so much for 20 euros of donation. I appreciate that a lot. It means a lot. And it looks like Sitaux is just gonna go for a massive market usage. One thing that Jordan doesn't really have is a big resource bank. And yeah, once again, thank you so much for the donation. So, we're gonna have these scouts trying to pick off a Will, but both of these scouts are 1 HP. If Jordan looks here, he could actually fight this, and he will. Look at this Terminator guy. He just annihilated 2 scouts. Yeah, both scouts were 1 HP, but still. So, Castle Age coming in here for both players, fletching just now in for Sitaux, as he just runs past that skirmisher, eating quite a lot of damage. Overall, I still believe that I like Jordan's position a little bit better now, because he's walled more or less on the right side, so it's going to be pretty hard for our red player Sitaux to do a lot of damage to his base. Whereas on the other side, as the Tony guy is going to subscribe as well with a new sub. Thank you so much, I appreciate that a lot. So, I could say that I appreciate putting faith into me casting. Get it? Teutons, faith? Alright, that was an underwhelming joke. Anyways, let's focus on the game, shall we? So, in the current scenario, it looks like it's gonna be triple stables, which means we are going for 4 camels. Other side, what is Sitaux up to? 4 camels as well, it seems, and he's going to do some MBL level 4 wars instead of going for what would have been a lot more efficient team wars, to be honest. Like, if you war here, all you need to do is just war here and you have big team wars. Instead, now you have the back of your base open. I just like Jordan's walling a lot better, as you got a tower coming in for Jordan here to hold the food eco. That's actually quite a lot of farming space denied from Jordan, and one thing that hurts Jordan really badly is that he's got a hill in front of his base, so this is actually pretty hard for him to contest once he loses it. And those Indian camels do bonus damage versus buildings, so they can start taking down buildings really fast. Overall, you got quite a lot of relics on this map, by the way. I haven't counted the exact amount, but the corners seem to have 2, 3, 5, 8, about 10 relics on this map. So, there is quite a significant amount of them. It looks like now we'll have Jordan diving in, +1, +2 versus just +2 defense, but there is spearman support, so I think cost efficiency might be on the side of Sitaux here, but he will probably end up losing this battle for the time being. 78 versus 77 wheels. So Sitaux is actually able to sort of keep track of Jordan. And we will have a second town center on the left side as well, coming in for Mr. Jordan. One thing that hurts Jordan really badly is the idle time. So he was always the one that got pushed, and he was the one forced to defend, which meant that his eco idle time is much greater than that of Sitaux's. So Sitaux is at 6 minutes, and Jordan is at 40. Now it looks like we'll have a pikeman being added by Sitaux. He's actually grabbing scale boarding, or scale mail, for those. And it also looks like Sitaux is going to switch the angle of attack. He still needs to be careful because his starting base is wide open to counterattack, but it very much seems like we're going to have a forward siege workshop to try and push the right side base of Jordan, because Jordan is concentrating all defensive efforts on the left side, and even with all those efforts concentrated, he has a massive hole on his walls, allowing all those camos to dive in. Now, this is a risky decision for Sitaux, because if he gets his army trapped in here, that could be a disaster, but that's not gonna happen, and that's quite a lot of vills going down. Still, I think Jordan's gonna be able to clean this one up, but this might give a fairly decent lead for Sitaux in terms of vill numbers. Now he's trying to disengage though, and he's getting chased down by superior amounts of camos. Still, this is a perfect diversion to allow Battering Ram to start knocking on the right side walls and open up the rest of the eco. Jordan still tries to trap that army, and it looks like Sitaux doesn't want to fight. He just wants to run around. Eco-wise, Sitaux has 35 on foot, Jordan on only 25. So, slightly more balanced eco, I would say, for Sitaux, who for whatever reason turns back. What on the earth was Sitaux doing here? He turned back, that's minus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 camos. That's a disaster, it's a massive disaster. And now, his base, especially on the left side, is wide open. It looks like he wants to go for pikemen. Jordan is going to realize, oh shoot, there's a siege workshop here, and he could technically take it down because there's nothing that really prevents him from doing so. A wolf is going to join the party over here as well as Sitaux's forces get cleaned up. Jordan's army numbers are still comparable to Sitaux's one, and Sitaux now with pikemen. He's going to start moving up. I just don't understand the siege workshop here. Wait, does Jordan see that? Jordan doesn't see the workshop. This could be a big masterpiece here from Sitaux. If Sitaux brings in just pike and siege here, as he's taking a reasonable engagement, pikemen taking down the camos, Sitaux will end up losing this fight, but the cost efficiency is there, and he was able to dive in with a couple of camos, brings in some more pikemen. This push here could be lethal. This could be lethal because 3 or 4 rams with some pikemen support and camos, they could dive in and destroy that PC, leaving a lot of vills exposed. Once again, I feel like Sitaux is just undecisive here, I believe. He wants to commit, but when he starts committing, he feels like, okay, I maybe shouldn't. But this results in him running in, taking damage, running out. That's the problem, that he just constantly keeps absorbing damage. Now this is a good one for him though. He's going to have the pikemen fighting here. Monk also joins the party, and Jordan is going to lose some camos here. Nice quick walls from Sitaux with the hero militia holding up against the camos for the time being. Battering Ram still going unused. And now Jordan's camo numbers seem to be a little bit more convincing, and more importantly, Jordan is mixing in cav archers. And Camel Cav Archer should be able to dominate Sitaux here. As the pikemen now switch to the right side to clean this one up. Camo's also bashing their way into the base of Sitaux here. As Battering Ram push was actually prepared on both sides, not just on one. Now the camos on the right side for Jordan will eventually get cleaned up, and we shouldn't underestimate the fact that this is a very cost-efficient engagement for Sitaux. Jordan was actually thinking about dropping a castle on this hill, but he changes his mind quickly upon seeing all those pikemen just annihilating his units. A couple of camos inside Sitaux's base. No defense for him just yet on those TC garrisoning. Could be able to clean these up relatively easily, but he will lose a couple of vills. I'm actually surprised, as we're gonna have a super aggressive castle drop here by Sitaux. I'm pleasantly surprised by the fact that with all this carnage going on, we only have 5-6 vills lost from both sides. And now it's a big push from Sitaux here. It's actually a big push, although I think that these rams should be going this way with some camo support. But instead, Sitaux is going to pull 29 wheels to make this castle. You can tell that he wants to have this castle up. I don't think that Sitaux understands how much ahead he is, because he's ahead. He's ahead by a fairly considerable margin. He's clicking into Imperial right now, and that's quite a lot of battering rams that can start knocking down these ranges, preventing Jordan from going to Cav Archers easily. Jordan is also clicking up to Imp. He's gonna have the hill advantage on this castle when it comes to Trap War. Jordan also trying to go for relics, but that's not really going to happen because the Camo is going to deny that. And I think if you're Sitaux now, you want to push this part of Jordan's base with the rams, because this part is fairly well fortified, so you want to push south. Also, apparently Sitaux is not noticing that the Camel is beating up his wheels on the wood line that he overchopped. Another castle comes in here from Jordan, and it looks like we have a pause. Uh-oh. It looks like a drop. So don't worry, it's actually a drop. It's not a win just now for Jordan. It's a drop. They will have to rehost the game. Feels bad because this is a clutch moment, and I feel like if Sitaux commits to this fight, he's going to... like, he can send in the pikemen and the camos and knock this castle down. Jordan shouldn't be able to get this castle up. I hope they can actually restore. I don't have any information, but they should be able to. Yeah, Jordan has the save file. So, if, like, the only concerning problem could be if Sitaux's internet is gone, which would be a disaster. But regardless, if Sitaux is able to, you know, if Sitaux just crashed or something, then they will be able to restore. So, as things stand, we are waiting for Sitaux to get back into the game. As I said, as things stand, if you look at the camo numbers, those are better for Jordan. But Jordan only has 3 Cav Archers to fight 29 pikemen. The 29 pikemen can easily escort these rams to this castle, and this castle should go down immediately. Now, it remains to be seen what Sitaux would be able to do without any kind of raiding potential. Pikemen are just bad at destroying eco, but he could just start steamrolling these bases. Speaking of that, this is the Imp TC of Jordan, and this is why I said that it would have been so much better for Sitaux to launch that ram push against this part of Jordan's base, especially with this castle up, because Jordan can't leave this side because there's a castle up in his face with battering rams knocking down walls. But if Sitaux had 3 or 4 battering rams knocking on these walls as well, suddenly this would have been a lot more concerning overall. And they will be able to restore. Sitaux says too much action for his PC, and he's laughing about it. So we will have a game up in a moment. We will have a restore. So no worries. Basically, Sitaux's game crashed, and we are getting back into the game here. So, clutch moment here, I would say, for Sitaux, because this is exactly the moment where he could potentially win the game or lose the game. Should this push stall out, he's gonna be in a rough spot. If his push actually materializes, and he's able to take down a castle, take down 1 or 2 TCs, he could do significant damage to the eco of Jordan here. So here we go. Welcome back, Taklamakan. As I said, this save game was pretty much created in the moment that the pause happened. So it's possible that Jordan maybe spotted that his opponent's army was idle, and he thought it's suspicious. But as I said, these rams, they need to knock down that castle. Jordan is rallying his forces to get the castle up, and I think that the battering rams should be able to do it. The castle is within the range of the other castle, so the wheels can't actually kill the rams here. You will see that this castle will just kill those rams, And this is what I was referring to, that Sitaux needs to go for a push here against that castle. Petards are coming in for Jordan, but Petards is not going to help you here. Like, Petards can try taking down those rams, but there's so many rams over here that this castle is gone. This castle, there's no chance this survives, and as things stand, Jordan will launch a big counterattack on the right side. Remember, Sitaux overchopped his wood line. So that's something to point out, but I feel like this push is a little bit scarier, and Sitau's gonna drop another castle, although this castle is sort of meaningless. This castle doesn't actually give him anything. I don't like that castle spot at all. Sitaux actually revolted his base, so Jordan's counterattack isn't going to do much, and it very much seems like, as I said, this is not going to destroy the eco of Jordan, but this will destroy buildings, and Jordan's base will be like wide open. Traps are coming in from both players immediately, as a second castle from Sitaux comes up, and now Jordan is a little bit distracted, so he will run into a couple of pikemen with his camos. Jordan is trying to get Halberdier here, Halberdier as well coming in for our blue player. So we will have another TC going down, and I think the key thing is that Jordan's eco has been breached. The negative thing here for Sitaux is that Sitau's eco is also wide open for raiding because he didn't really wall, but now these are kept rams, and I just feel like Jordan's eco here could be steamrolled on the left side because he doesn't seem to have the tools to stop, what, 7 kept rams and a bunch of halberdiers as well. Now, one thing that you have to consider is that Jordan is still trapping down these castles, but as things stand, Jordan's army here might get cleaned up by halberdiers. In fact, they run in, but I think that's actually a disaster for them because they will just be forced to engage halberdiers, and this is a disaster here for Jordan. He's gonna get his army trapped. He's still doing quite a lot of raiding damage, but Sitaux still has 20 more vills, and now halberdiers are flooding Jordan's eco, although it was a little bit sloppy from Sitaux that he wasn't protecting his rams. Sitaux is losing all his rams here. Right now he's trying to trade castles with the opponent. Both players are in desperate need of raiding potential. I think that for Sitaux this would be a time for a Cav Archer switch. He needs to have a Cav Archer switch because Jordan is doing full halberdier defense right now. Jordan is... that trap stays alive just by a narrow margin. That was a very, very close thing. At this point, the best thing Sitaux can do is hope that he can take at least one of those castles down, but it would be a disaster if he loses this castle and he can't take down this one. Especially because Jordan is able to secure a castle on the right side, and I feel like this push from Sitaux is starting to stall out really badly over here. There's still 2 traps here to start shelling that castle, but it very much seems like this push is now gone. If you are Sitaux, I would say you actually start making stables here, because you want to have stables behind enemy lines. Just make it as hard as it is possible to be had for Jordan to clean you up. You just want to spam light cavalry from here, where Jordan has a tough time cleaning that up. You get some camos on the right side by Jordan as well. Jordan's army is still not impressive, but he's having the map control, he's got the defensive structures to keep it. And the thing is that now Sitaux lost his second castle in this one. Camo is now diving into snipe the repair wheels in an effort to try and get that castle down. That hill position is so good for Jordan, and now Sitaux loses a trap. I don't think this castle is going down from Jordan. I don't think this castle is going down, and I just don't see... Look at this. One ram unprotected is going to be taken down by the vills, and I just feel like Sitaux is exclusively halberdiers, although that's a lot of halberdiers I have to add, but the traps are down. Sitaux doesn't have any siege weapons. He lost his traps, this castle still stays up for Jordan. If he saves the game, that's gonna be because of that castle. But there is no guarantees he will save the game, because if you look at it, the left side is still getting overrun by halberdiers, and this could be a moment for hand cannoneers even, because we're seeing chemistry for Sitaux coming in, or bombard cannons. Jordan trying to get a castle up here, but that will probably be denied, as Sitaux is still the player with the majority map control. Despite the fact that there is 10 relics on this map, there's actually none picked up so far, and Jordan, I don't think that castle is going up. I just don't think that that's gonna go up, unless Jordan actually walls in his vills here, which is something that he's not doing right now. I see a range coming in with no Cav Archer, so it's gotta be Hand Cannoneer, but Jordan is getting over on the left side. Look at this. Wherever I look, Veils are dying to Halberdiers, and if there is just one stat to look at this game, that's the Veil KD. 66 Veils killed by Sitaux, 20 by Jordan, and Jordan is doing his best to keep this castle alive, as he did with the other one on the left. But Jordan's eco is getting overrun by Halberdiers, and oh, better late than never, says Sitaux, grabs Boso after 39 minutes in this game. Jordan is 100 population, Sitaux is at pop cap, and he's making more ranges inside Jordan's base. It looked very scary for Sitaux for some time, but then he musters his forces, rallies them around that hero militia that just got poked down by Halberdiers, and now, especially if Sitaux gets a castle up here, which is still downhills compared to this one, but as things stand, Sitaux managed to basically disintegrate Jordan's economy. Jordan has 22 on food, 22 on wood, 13 on gold, and he's going to be facing hand cannoneers soon. Bombard cannons or rams should also be in the mix, and Jordan just keeps losing wheels. Now it's 70. There seems to be zero momentum for him, and soon he will struggle to replenish army. He's down to 16 army, 108 population, and indeed, this is one of the unique thing about either this tournament, but also the maps. These maps can usually or often yield upsets. And the other thing is, as I said, that this is a best of 3 1v1s, which could give a chance for Heresy to redeem themselves. And indeed, Sitaux upsetting Jordan over here. And that results in the fact that in this little best of 3 1v1s, which accounts for the second score in the set, it is going to be a 1-0 advantage for Heresy. So what I'm going to do is that I will replace this text with 4-second point. This is exactly what we're going to do. So for those of you that are just now joining, basically, they play a mini best of 3 here, and whoever wins that best of 3 will get the second point of the set. The first one was a standard team game, and now whoever wins this best of 3 is going to be getting the second score. Sitaux wins it against Jordan for Heresy, and I would assume that now Heresy has to name which player they use. GL still has Viper and TaToH to use, Heresy still has Miguel+Dogao and Lan, so they can choose one player from that list. Let's see if it's gonna be TaToH or if it's gonna be Viper. So we will have the home map of GL, I believe. And let's see who's gonna play. It's going to be Dogao playing, and Heresy is selecting home map. We'll soon take a look at that home map in this one. So Dogao, if it's Dogao, I would think that this is the moment where you bring in Viper, because I would actually put TaToH ahead of Miguel. So probably the strongest player on the Heresy roster, Dogao, should be the strongest player for GL as well, which is, well, the Viper. So let's see if... yeah, we don't know the map just yet. Each map has a civilization pool of, I think, 7 or so civilizations. Yeah, exactly. So, depending on which they select, they can only select, you know, those civilizations. Overall, the first game was the only hidden free pick map of the tournament. Does GL know who Heresy are playing when they pick who they're playing? I think it depends on the order. Like, it is an alternating order that is given. So basically, that's the That's the idea, that it's an alternating order. So in this case, they know it. Yes, that's correct. And it looks like Heresy is just now discussing what map to pick it here. It is going to be Dogao. And basically, Heresy has to tell that Dogao is playing and he has to tell a map, and GL will be the one selecting a player right now. So in the first game, GL was the one selecting map and name the player that plays first, and then Heresy had the chance to react to that. In this case, it's going to be Heresy naming player, and GL is going to be given the chance to react to that. And game number 3, it's going to be even ground because the leftover player will be the ones that are playing. Although there's a backup for Heresy, but it doesn't seem like Lan is going to be playing. So it very much seems like we will just have Sitaux as sort of the permanent player for his respective team. So, Dogao, with the game, we don't know who's gonna play from Gamerlegion, but it very much seems like Heresy is taking their time selecting who's gonna play. Or more precisely, what map they want to play, because that's the bigger thing. We know that Dogao is gonna play, but what map? That's a bigger question. So there's a huge amount of maps in this one. Some of that we have screenshots on, some of that we don't. So once they actually tell us the maps, we will be able to just look at those and, you know, take a look at that map in greater detail, but still no information on the map. I hope they actually choose really fast, because it's a little bit underwhelming to wait 20 minutes in between games. Sort of kills the hype of stuff. I can tell you that the reason why they haven't chosen yet is because Miguel is actually testing out a map. So, and it very much seems like we are going to have some crazy map over here. So, there's a chance we'll have something very, very unique, but they don't know what they want to play, because it very much seems like they didn't have any specific home map on their mind. So currently they're just sort of opening maps, testing them, seeing which of those are the ones that they like. I'm somewhat disappointed by that, because that kind of makes it be a very, very long break here. So I'm not a fan of, not even knowing what home maps you play on. Especially because this is not the first round of the event. That's the bigger thing. Heresy played in the previous round as well against Hellis, Project Belgium, and Engine Jolie, won 3-0. So I am somewhat surprised that they have no idea how some of the maps look like. Score is right now 1-0, and in the sub best of 3, it's a 1-0 for Heresy. So if the Heresy representative, which is going to be Dogao, wins this game versus the GL representative, then we will have score number 2 added to Heresy. But basically, we're going to have to wait until Miguel's team actually figure out what map they want to play. And it very much seems like that's going to take some time, because they don't really have a clear idea on what they want to do. They're just now checking out maps. I can tell you this much, that so they are sort of figuring out strategy right now. Hopefully they make up their mind soon, because a 20 minutes break would be, somewhat boring, especially because like once we know the map, we can actually discuss that in detail. But without that, that doesn't seem like it's going to be possible. So, well, yeah, basically that. What we can do is take a look at some of the maps while we're waiting for them to get ready. So let's bring that up. Where is that? Where is it at? So the tournament itself has Atacama Desert, Gobi Desert, Halapao, Karoo, Mount Bromo, the Simpson Desert. Taklamakan is something that we played before. Al Samim, Disco Island, aka Arctic Circle, Unianga Lakes, Archipelago of Pog, which is just gonna be Archipelago of Pog because we're on Twitch, Painted Desert, Pamir Mountains, Kizilkum, Sonoran Desert, and Tar Desert. Tar Desert was game number 1. Didn't Heresy win? Heresy win the first game of a best of 3 that will attribute for the second score of the game. I understand it's actually really complicated. Well, it's not super complicated, but unless you actually really dig yourself into the rule book, it's actually complicated. Basically, the way that this works is that there is game number 1, that's a 3v3. Then there is a subset. Game number 2 is basically a best of 3 over here with 3 1v1s. And each player has to play 1 1v1 at maximum, so you won't have repeats. And then game number 3 to 5 is actually going to be team games as well. So that's how it works out. So you get 1 score for winning an entire best of 3 over here. That's going to be the second one. And the reason why we're waiting right now is because Heresy doesn't know what map they want to play. Alright, it looks like they made up their mind. So the games will begin, and indeed it's going to be Dogao versus Viper most likely. So Dogao versus Viper, and we're going to Painted Desert. So let's take a look at that map, shall we? Before we jump in there, because the players are still not in the lobby, so let's just take a look. So WDC Painted Desert. So this is how the map looks like. This basically feels just like Arabia, but you don't have any wood in the middle, and a bunch of hills are present. That's basically what Painted Desert is. Other than that, resources team standard. I see 1 boar, 2 boars. Yeah, this feels a little bit like Arabia. So after all that, figuring out and strategizing, it looks like we're just going to have a very, very standard map selection here from Heresy. I'm a little bit disappointed. I was expecting them to go for something more gimmicky or something more unique. And it looks like we're waiting for Viper to come back. Now, as I said, each map has 7 civilizations you can choose from. For Painted Desert, that is Incas, Chinese, Aztecs, Japanese, Magyars, Franks, Vikings. The map is very open, so there is a chance in a Frank mirror or a Frank versus Aztec setup. Potentially Chinese mirror, Chinese versus Franks, Chinese versus Aztecs. I think Japanese, Vikings, and Incas are way too slow for this map, especially because there is no woodlands in the middle, so the front of your base is always open. You don't want to go for like a clear archer civ like Incas or Aztecs, or Incas, Japanese, or Vikings. So you probably want to play this one with one of the faster moving civilizations, Chinese, Franks, Magyars maybe, or maybe Aztecs in this one. And indeed, we're waiting for Viper as Viper is AFK. It took so much time for Heresy to figure out what map they want to play that Viper probably went for like a 5 minutes break himself. So now Dogao is the one that's like spamming 40 into Viper. So yeah, we're just waiting for Dogao and the Viper to launch up the game. What do you think about the Incas losing fuel bill upgrades? I think that's the sort of the right decision to make. I myself think that it's nice to have a civilization that's very, very aggressive towards Incaville. Like, it's nice to have some early aggressive civs like Incas. However, not if that is the only thing that Incas can do. That's the thing, however. So, yeah, it's nice that that so yeah, basically what I wanted to say, as I forgot the second half of my sentence, my brain is melting down after 7 hours of casting today, but basically it's set from the perspective that indeed it eliminates some variety from the game, and I completely agree with those that dislike it. However, I don't think that it's good that Incas were only used for whale rushing. It wasn't a strategy, that was, if you pick Incas on high level, it was always whale rush. And it's better that now Incas can actually show what they're capable of without whale rush. I think now Incas are a little bit underwhelming, but they're not a bad civilization whatsoever, especially when you think about stuff like slingers being available to them. I think we'll have to see what Incas are capable of doing after the nerf, and then if they are weak, I would assume that they will get some sort of buff. Anyways, we will have the second game of this best of 3 subset of this best of 5 between Heresy and Gamerlegion A. This time the representatives of the teams will be Viper in yellow on the left playing as Chinese, right side will be Aztecs as Dogao in blue. So you could select from a handful of civilizations for this map. Aztecs and Franks both seem to be fairly reasonable for that. And as I said, in Painted Desert, you have most of the wood on the outside. The middle is very hilly and relatively empty overall. Let's take a look at the maps of the players. We're going to have a bag gold mine here for Viper. Berries are also workable, although I think that these patches are not something that you can build on, so Viper can't actually directly drop buildings in front and just wall it off. Other side, Dogao's berries are also awful. At the bottom of a hill, that's sort of a disaster to have, and this gold mine isn't that great either for Dogao. One thing to notice is that most of the gold is oriented towards the middle of the map, so it's not like you have any bad golds here. You should have no trouble accessing wood at the back of your base. Same is said for the stone. But in terms of wood, or in terms of gold, you're going to have those exposed on the front. So we will have Viper sending free on wood for the time being. And this is the first thing to check, because technically he can go for scouts, but against Aztecs that could open men-at-arms, I don't think that's the right decision. So I would expect maybe straight archers from our yellow player, but Viper thinks otherwise, and it very much seems like this is going to be a scouts build from Viper. The map is fairly open, so scouts could work out nicely, but if Viper is playing scouts, it's possible that Dogao could go for a men-at-arms opening. If Dogao wins this game for his team, then they will get the second score and we'll go back to the team game stage of the event. So, yeah, one thing to notice, this is something I always highlight. Dogao brings in the board with one will, sends the second one right after to make 2 houses next to the other board, and then brings it back. This is something that only Dogao does this way. Some others are also going for a double house strategy, but in general, Dogao is the only one that does it like this. So, one will on board, you bring it back, the following will go immediately on the next board, make 2 houses next to the board, and then bring it back, and then the following will go for berries. So, this is how I was... this is something that I always say in Hidden Cups, that it's actually fairly easy to identify Dogao if you look at this tendency. So whenever there is Hidden Cup, probably the easiest player for me to guess is Dogao because of this one. Everybody else is much harder to guess. How does he do that all the time? It is just the version of the build order he learned. There are different iterations of the build orders, and this is sort of a slightly different style than most players use. Most players use the one will on boar, one on house and berries, then the next one goes for second house and boar style. I think that's this Stark style build orders. So most of the players use the build orders that Stark has videos. I think he might have been one of the first people to make build order videos, although I'm not that much into the history of AoE to be able to confirm that, but as far as I know, those are the Stark style build orders, and most people use that. There's really very minor difference between these build orders, so it's basically an insignificant difference overall. So Viper coming in here with a second lumber camp already. Indeed, this is going to be a fast scouts play from him, whereas on the other side, what is Dogao up to? That's sort of a mystery, but it very much seems like the Men-at-Arms build. Yeah, Cicero and Zero Empires also used the Stark style builds. Like, the majority of the players use that. So, I actually know about very few people that actually do this. This is why it's so unique to see Dogao doing this. And it's almost guaranteed that it's Dogao. Especially if he does it consistently in every single game, because sometimes other players do this as well if the boars are positioned in a way that it makes sense to drop two houses on the front instead. But this is something that Dogao does every game, and he's the only player that he does it every game. Barracks coming in here for Dogao. Looks like it's going to be probably a Men-at-Arms opening from him, but Viper was able to scout the barracks, so Viper will know it's going to be Men-at-Arms with this timing, and indeed Men-at-Arms are coming in for Dogao. One thing that's concerning for Dogao is that his base is very open. So, because of that, the scouts could actually do quite a bit, and look at that, Majestic Apex with the resub. Thank you so much indeed. Congrats to the Twitch baby. 9 months of support. I appreciate that a lot. Thank you, thank you. 9 months already. So, thank you so much for the support. Alright. So now, we are gonna have Viper with some interesting wall shape. But I like how he's locking down the back of his base, although it would be easier to drop just the palisade wall tower or house here. But it gives him some more wood under his control if he places two houses here. And Alucard 1331 is also back with the second month of support. Thank you so much as well. I appreciate that a lot. And it looks like we do have a bit of a pause. Or a crash. Or a drop. Nope, Dogao has to run to the door. That's what happened. So, the thing is that Dogao is about to lose his ego, and Technicalex is back for half a year. Thank you so much. I appreciate that a lot as well. What is this day? What's up with all the resubs? Thank you so much, everybody, for the support. So, it seems like Viper actually decides that he wants to go for archer range. It was interesting because he only started with 3 on wood, but it looks like he added the lumberjacks a little earlier, and he was able to come up with an archer play. In this case, that actually starts to favor the Aztecs, as Dogao is going to go for the old school 4 Men-at-Arms Aztec opening here. Viper will have to quick wall his base in. He sees the Men-at-Arms closing in, and he will be able to wall himself up. And we got Humboldt Wintershrek coming in as well with the Prime sub. Thank you so much, I appreciate that as well. So, Viper is still open on the left side, and these Men-at-Arms could actually get through these weak buildings quite easily, especially if the Men-at-Arms upgrade finishes. Dogao already is mixing in a couple of skirmishers. He knows exactly that his archer numbers will not be as good as Viper's ones, so he's opening skirms because he wants to get some value for the Men-at-Arms. So it makes more sense to add skirms at the beginning other than archers. The other thing I would love to see from Dogao, if he can afford, is a couple of Eagles later on, because Eagles would allow him to chase down lonely archers and just have a fairly decent meat shield in front of his archers. So whenever you're playing Meso Civ, Egos being mixed into Archer Wars can definitely be a very, very helpful thing to do. It looks like Viper will be fully walled, so I actually like his position a little bit better. Whereas, in comparison, Dogao is actually sort of half walled, but his gold mine is very open, which is something I kind of dislike overall. Now Dogao is going to take the hill. Viper still has a scout alive to pick off skirmishers, but the man-at-arms will help quite a bit. So we're gonna have Viper 4 on gold, so that's going to be a second range. Indeed, here it comes. Viper already has a blacksmith and fletching, so Viper is gonna go pretty aggressive in this one. And as I said, he still has a scout alive, which allows him to pick off like random 1 or 2 skirmishers. Obviously, when the man-at-arms around, that's not going to be a possibility, as Dogao is trying to wall off his gold mine. Still, I think Dogao is under-investing into his defense on the gold mine, and this could backfire really badly for him. Because as things stand, his gold is wide open for raiding, and it very much seems like Viper knows that this is the gold mine and this is what he wants to hit, or he's looking for a bigger price. I think Viper is looking for a bigger price, he's looking for a wood line. Because you probably know that at this stage of the game, there is more vills on a wood line than there is on a gold mine, and luckily for Dogao, he's going to bump into a vill here, and the Viper will ignore that. I like it. Viper ignored it because he was probably thinking that if he attacks that vill, Dogao will get the attack notification. But look at this. This is what Viper was eyeing on. He wants to go for the wood line. Dogao, I think he's gonna lose 1 vill here. In exchange, he's not going to lose any back at home, so that's a nice 1-0 KD here for Viper. Completely catching Dogao off guard. And Dogao, what did he think? What was Dogao thinking here? That's a sort of a disaster game so far from him. He seems to be half open, and he's focusing very heavily on just fighting at Viper's base. Viper's gonna overchop on this wood line, so if those men-at-arms get in there, things could actually start becoming a little bit rougher for the Viper. But I still believe that Dogao is just underinvesting into the protection of his flank here. So now men-at-arms are in. There's a couple of archers to clean them up though. Viper goes for quick walls and Dogao doesn't want to commit. So it seems like he's going to just ignore this. There's a bigger thing here though. Dogao lost 2 vills. He also has more TC idle time. And if you look at the fact that he's up against Chinese, you get to the conclusion that Viper has 5 vills advantage and make it 6. 6 vills advantage for the snake right now is actually fairly sizable. So now Dogao can still take the hill here. He's got +1/+1 on those skirmishers. Only +1 attack for Viper. And this is what Dogao was preparing for. Eagles. He's even grabbing scale mail. The eagle transition is inevitable, but Viper was expecting that. And the thing is that when you're up against Aztecs, you should expect an eagle transition. And this is why Viper opened archers. He wants to force an eagle transition and then just bring in his cavalry to clean things up. He's already grabbing scalebarding, but he's piling up resources for Castle Age, so I wouldn't be surprised to see Viper trying to use this with knights instead of scouts, although he's got some scouts in queue, so it looks like we might have an extended feudal age over here. Viper, once again, inside the base of Dogao over here. Dogao is still only losing 2 vills. This could be dangerous for both players, because Viper is in danger of losing his army, but Dogao is in the danger of losing a significant portion of his eco. Nice quick was coming in, and it looks like Viper might get surrounded here really badly. Those egos with +1 defense, skirmisher support, this feels like a cleanup here. Although you have to add that Viper is getting close to clicking up to Castle Age, and he's bringing in scouts to idle the gold mine of his opponent. Viper is going to be able to pick off 1 more vill here, so there was value for this army, although it's not ideal by any means. Another vill goes down here on the gold mine from Dogao, make it 2. Dogao lost 5 vills in here already. So, as things stand, Viper is clicking into Castle Age, Dogao is nowhere close, and I feel like we might be in for a Castle Age GG here. Because I just don't see Dogao being able to hold his base against Castlage Knights when this is the best gold mine that he has. That just feels next to impossible, I would say. Dogao launching a counterattack though. This is the only chance that Dogao has to do enough damage to Viper to compensate for all the losses that he has suffered from. But even then, it's going to be awfully hard to do that. He sees the second stable, so he should know that Viper is up. I think Dogao knows really well that Viper is up. Dogao needs to do some massive walling to have any shot at surviving this. And I'm surprised that he's not doing that. This would be an easy wall off on the left side. And even if he just makes a stone wall here and here, that would give him some time. But Dogao needs to somehow delay the arrival of those knights, because by the time he actually starts walling up, it might be a little too late. Just now starting to add house walls. Dogao clicks up as well, and triple Barracks Eagles could still be fairly decent and could be devastating against knights, especially if the knights don't have great numbers or great upgrades. But the thing is, as I said, as Viper is looping around with some more archers, Dogao is just now walling himself up, and we will have a second barracks on the way. Still, the gold mine is wide open. This is just a mistake, I think, from Dogao here. Leaving this gold mine so open is just a huge issue for him right now. He's trying to keep track of those knights, and since they only have +1 defense, these couple of archers and skirms will at least be able to do some damage to them. But let's be honest, this army should be cleaned up. All Dogao wants to achieve here is just to delay that army, but that doesn't matter because the archers of Viper will jump on the gold mine, and the timing for Viper, he even grabs crossbowman, and immediately upon seeing that, Dogao taps out. And with that, Viper winning a very, very easy game over here, I would say, in game number 2 of this best of 3 subset. We'll edit the score over here. You see that now it's even. So basically, whoever wins the next game, which will be TaToH versus Miguel, will get the second score for this set. And I think I favor TaToH over Miguel in this case. That's the bigger thing though. So TaToH is indeed going to be hosting the lobby. And we should be going back into the game. Quick look at the statistics, although I don't think there was a lot to look at. Villager KD tells you the entire thing about the game. 6 vills killed by Viper, 0 by Dogao. That's all. Viper was able to kill those vills, and that basically puts Dogao in a very, very tough spot. Playing such open and falling behind this much in Castlage is not something that you can pair up nicely. So if your base is this open and Viper beats you to Castlage, you are going to have very, very little chance to come back into that one. And indeed, that's what happened. Viper, so far looking really sharp in this set. And TaToH, what is going to be the map? It's going to be versus Miguel. And I think this time it's Gamerlegion choosing a map. Because the first game, it was GL choosing. Then this was the home map of Heresy. And now it should be GL again. No, we are going to random map. We're actually going to random map here, as things stand. So instead of, yeah, exactly, it's map pack, which means that we're going to random map in the third one. It's not going to be anyone's home map. As I said, the settings for this one are actually sort of chaotic / sometimes very confusing. So that's why I'm also getting confused quite frequently here. But it's going to be TaToH versus Miguel, that's what we know. And yeah, that means that Jordan lost against Sitaux, that's correct. Jordan lost against Sitaux. And it looks like it's gonna be random mirror civilizations. So, according to the rules, this time it's gonna be random mirrors in game number 3. And that is going to result in a game that is nearly launched up. Whoever wins this one gets the second point of the set, and then Once we have that, we're going back to full team games. The random mirror yields us Kuman mirrors on a map that we will see in a matter of seconds. So let's see what the map is going to be. There's a lot of gimmicky maps here, so there's a chance we get something crazy. But nope, we're going back to... How was this map called? This was the first map that they played in team games, but this time in 1v1. And the 1v1 meta for this map is just a lot different, obviously, from the team game meta. I think that on this map, you kind of have to go for a fish, but you have to consider that there is not a lot of deep fish in the 1v1 version of the map. We're going to have Kumans on the right side for TaToH in red, and left side is going to be Kumans for, well, Kumans for TaToH in blue on the left, and it's going to be Miguel on red on the right side. So, as things stand, you can actually sail ships on these sand dunes over here, like these dark patches. And what TaToH did in the first game of this set was that he made a Vikings play, went for a crazy fish boom, and then longboats over here, just harassed the eco at the back of Heresy so much, denied a lot of accessible gold at the back, because there isn't really a huge amount of gold on this map. You see there is one primary gold, but that's only 5 tiles in comparison to 7 that you would normally have on Arabia. You have 3 tiles of secondary gold, and that's it. So I would think that TaToH is going to attempt something very similar over here. He's got double back elephants to work with, whereas on the other side, Miguel has a very, very nice wood line to work with overall. He's gonna have the lumberjacks having to travel a very, very short distance. Still, because it's Kuman mirrors, I would assume that we are going to see fast fuel ages, but it could be for Scouts War. It's very possible that we don't see second town centers, because the map is fairly open, so Scouts could be a lot more legitimate. And when Kumans play Scouts in 1v1s, they can't afford a second town center. And there might be even no motivation to go for a second town center, because you might end up being better off if you just do fishing. As things stand, it looks like Miguel will be looking for his opponent. So Miguel thinks that TaToH is gonna go for the Will Snipe here, but that's not gonna happen for the time being. Second elephant coming in for TaToH, and I think that if TaToH wants to mix things up, this will be the moment where he's the one focusing all in on land. Because the thing is that in the first game, TaToH was the water player of Gamerlegion in a team game setting on this map. So this is why Miguel was looking for the Will here. He was looking for the dock villager, but he couldn't find anything, because guess what? TaToH is apparently not going for a dock, and as things stand, he's only 2 on wood. This feels like a 2 TC play from TaToH. 2 on wood is a little too low for even a stable play. So the only way that you do 2 on wood is if you click up something like 19 pop and then you send a bunch of wheels to wood, so you can drop a second town center. That's probably the game plan here for TaToH. Other side, we actually have 4 on wood for Miguel, but he's not going for water either. It looks like it might still end up being something like he may try to gamble on the stable and town center addition, but I don't think that he can easily afford that. So it might just be an archer play from him. It would be a surprise, especially against the opponent being Kumans as well. I don't think archer play is legitimate, because the second TC will protect you from the archers. And TaToH has a beautiful TC spot, by the way. Either here, which would protect the gold and the stone, or here, which would protect the wood and the gold. Same thing with this one. So there's a lot of great TC spots. In fact, this might be the best for TaToH for a second TC that covers all 3 resources, although that's on the front and that's something that you may want to avoid. TaToH indeed going for 19 pop feudal, and that either is going to be a very aggressive scouts build, or potentially additional TCs being, or additional TC being added, and he's chopping stragglers. He's not adding villas to a second wood line, so I am tempted to believe that this is going to be a second or town center that's going to be added. Other side, it looks like Miguel is going for a straight archers build here. Indeed, 2 villagers being sent to gold, and he clicks up at 21 population and loom. Speaking of Miguel, his gold mines are actually horrendous. This gold on the front is awful, this gold is awful as well. TaToH's golds aren't great either, but, I mean, if he's playing double TC, he is going to be better off with either of these gold mines than Miguel is. And the question is, how is Miguel going to be able to punish the double TC boom with just archers? If he had scouts, he would have some mobility advantage, but considering it's only going to be archers, archers can't do anything against town centers, so a well-positioned TC will make it impossible for Miguel to push TaToH's eco, and the TC here will go in here. I like this TC spot. Although it's a little too far away from gold, so technically the archers might be able to range it with fletching. With fletching, the archers, if they stand here, they can actually deny the back of this gold mine. That could be something for Miguel. Still, the fact that Dogao or TaToH is actually going for the TC on the stone means that this will probably be sort of a 2 TC boom into Kipchak play, something that Vilas sort of pioneered in King of the Desert, and he was very, very successful with this build order. Miguel also took some shots on his scout from the opponent, and that means that he's going to be losing the scout war in here, even more so now that he's not reacting, and Miguel, he just lost basically all HP on that scout. He brings in the militias to try to even the odds. TaToH's wood line is safe for the time being, and the more I'm looking at it, the more I'm starting to like TaToH's position here. Man-at-Arms now in, so it looks like Miguel actually opened Man-at-Arms, but why do you open Man-at-Arms against Crewmans? That's a mystery to me. Maybe he was expecting scouts, but even if it's scouts from the opponent, the Man-at-Arms won't be able to take a direct engagement against them because the scouts will just run away, and the scouts will just raid you, so under no condition do I consider Man-at-Arms good here. Because you know that the second TC play is 19 or 20 pop feudals, so by the time your Men-at-Arms arrive, your opponent will mostly have that TC finished, so they won't be able to do damage there. And as I said, if your opponent goes for scouts, then same thing. You're just not gonna have the mobility to catch those scouts. Your opponent can just wall himself and send the scouts forward. So I don't really know, I'm not really unsure if the Men-at-Arms play was the appropriate one here for Miguel. Now it looks like Miguel's coming in with some towers, and in that case, Men-at-Arms towers could be something that is hard for TaToH to deal with. I like these wall-ins as well, and TaToH's going to lose access to that stone mine. Men-at-Arms towers could work nicely here, especially if there is some archers supporting and an overchop from TaToH. Things from great actually start becoming awful for TaToH, and as I said, if he loses this one, then it is going to be 1-1 scoreline in the entire set. TaToH now tries to rush up a defensive tower, and TaToH should be able to secure that stone mine for himself, so he's going to stabilize, and look at where TaToH is going for another wood line. He's gonna go for the other wood line over here, where his opponent has zero chance of crushing it. That's all about that. Just get a lumber camp up on a wood line that your opponent has absolutely zero tools of accessing. And it looks like TaToH actually will try to commit to this Vil fight here, saving the low HP ones. Remember that TaToH is still having a full HP scout, or at least more or less full HP, and he's 2 TCs, so he can potentially afford to lose 1 Vil or so, or maybe 2, for the sake of cleaning this one up and being safe. It looks like at the end he loses 1 Vil and make it 2. This could have been better for TaToH, I'm not gonna lie, this wasn't great. But after all, he still has a 1 villager's lead, and he is 2 TCs, cleans up the tower. And this tower here for Miguel won't do much. Miguel is also on stone, which is not really a problem for him because he will probably want to play Kipchak as well, as the archers will now try to loop around and try to march in here. I guess the idea for Miguel could be either to walk in here or to try and get through here and get into the base of TaToH. So for now, TaToH is using all accessible food for mass production of Vils, and his eco is going to be way better until a disaster could strike him here on this wood line. He's going to plug that hole in just in time, And even though Miguel is going to see that will, by the time he reacts, that's going to be like 300, 400 HP. I don't think that these archers will accomplish much. And I like the defensive tower idea from TaToH, because this is going to prevent those archers from doing damage on this wood line again. And indeed, TaToH was right with his prediction. Here come the archers, and they should be able to take no villager down overall. Other side, towers are being walled in, which I appreciate for Miguel, although he cannot wall that will in there as well. Yeah, this will is actually stuck, but you can jump into the tower, jump out on the other side, and still keep falling in the tower. The problem for Miguel here is that TaToH is going to have an untouched boom from now on. So he's 2 TCs, he's going to be able to accumulate stone for a castle for Kipchak. I think if you're Miguel, what you're trying to build on is beating your opponent to Castle Age and castle dropping him. Because the thing is that 2 TC boom is always going to have a delayed Castle Age time compared to just a 1 TC play. So what Miguel could actually gamble on, as I said, is just staying 1 TC, sending 2 or 3 more vills to stone, pile up enough stone, and then castle drop TaToH. Because if you drop a castle here, for example, this would deny a golden stone from TaToH, and as I said, gold is not something that you have a lot of here in the middle of the map. That's an ambitious tower attempt from Miguel, and it's going to be completely denied by the presence of this tower over here. And Miguel tries to rush this one down, but that's not gonna happen either. The vills will jump inside. Archers splitting away. If they can... Uh-oh. TaToH could be in trouble here. Because if those archers came down the bottom of the tower, suddenly this becomes way worse for TaToH. Although, once again, I think he has enough vills to clean this one up. And after all, it is Miguel who is going to have a tough time with this one. Loses the archers. TaToH going for market, trying to buy himself up as well. Whereas Miguel is about to pick up to Castle Age. I feel like this final assault attempt was just a little too excessive and probably not needed. I like how he's using archers to deny the wood lines of TaToH. This is why a castle here or here would be so impactful, because you can play the wood denial game against TaToH, although it's clearly obvious that Miguel has no idea about the fact that TaToH is chopping wood here on the left side. There's absolutely no idea for Miguel there. It's a sneaky spot for TaToH, so I don't blame him for it. And that's, I think, the wrong decision from Miguel. He's just now adding the second TC. He's trying to catch up to TaToH. He will try to go for knights. The problem is that, as I said, he could have just been better off if he castle drops TaToH here. He's got the current map control to do that. He has to know that he's gonna be up to Castle Age faster, because he's only playing 1 TC as opposed to 2 TCs. So, really, there is very, very little things that that TaToH could do against the castle drop. TaToH just now going for a stables. It looks like he will also bail out on the idea of Kipchak temporarily, but he possesses an 11 villagers lead compared to the opponent, although we have to add that he clicked up later, so that's a little bit shorter than that. Still, 11 vills is 11 vills, and that's going to have its effect on the game. Forward Siege Workshop coming in, and I feel like Miguel might be thinking about capped rams. Because capped rams could be something that could cause a lot of chaos to TaToH. The problem is preserving those capped ram numbers, and it probably should be camel capped ram if you ask me. Because Miguel should be able to see the stables, and I think TaToH also saw the stables. So neither of the players can afford to go for knights, because if you go for knights and your opponent goes camels, you lose. So you gotta go for camels. As an opening, the archers are still doing work here. And I like that. In fact, I would love to see Miguel grabbing the crossbow upgrade. Because a couple of crossbows in a camel war could be a decisive advantage. And as I said, he's got the ability to limit TaToH's expansion. He should have kept a couple of vills on stone, I believe. Because TaToH is actually piling up stone for a castle, and once he gets to Kipchak, there is going to be zero response from Miguel to that. Looks like he's not going to go for crossbows. And the decision is also mangonel and not a battering ram. He probably can't afford capped ram, so I can justify that. I just don't know. I feel like he could technically grab crossbow, and those crossbows would have been very helpful if you form one group with them. Now it looks like knights are out, so this is something that our red player will see. He knows he's up against knights with +1 defense. We got camels coming in from Miguel, and I actually like the camo play here from Miguel a lot more. Camos versus Knights just seems to be a lot more natural in Castle Age. Now, since Kumans don't have heavy camo, then you gotta play this one with your Castle Age camos, and you can't let this go into Imperial. The tower here is gonna go up, and these are Castle Age towers, so they have 1000 HP. But still, the idea for Miguel needs to be that he needs to push this side of TaToH's base. That's the lightest in terms of defense. The thing, however, is that TaToH is getting close to dropping a castle, and I feel like it's hard to say, but he needs to protect that gold mine. So something like deleting this house and a castle here could make sense, or maybe deleting these farms and trying to get a castle up here. TaToH is also expanding his base to the right side, to the wood lines. He knows that the crossbows are still denying many of the wood lines, so he will not just have these wheels here, he will also have a couple of wheels here as things stand. 3rd TC coming in as well for Miguel, who's trying to get a nice position with the men-at-arms. TaToH still with a 6 villagers lead, and that's probably going to grow as he picks off a couple of wheels here from Miguel. One of the nice things about the Knights is that you can actually do a lot more killing on the eco with them compared to the camos, so that's a positive. And considering that Miguel is almost exclusively camos, Miguel's ability to damage the opponent's eco is not as big as the one from TaToH. TaToH keeps picking off wheels here on the farming eco. As on the other side, TaToH also gets, I think he got 1 conversion in, but as things stand, TaToH is the one that has a firm control over the game in terms of villager count, and this is distracting Miguel. And the reason why this is distracting Miguel, well, it's very obvious why it's distracting him, but the reason why that's important is because TaToH can try to secure the left side now. Because while Miguel is busy defending, TaToH can actually drop a TC here, or maybe even a castle if he can afford it. He's a little too short on gold or stone for that. But still, this could be a good one for Miguel if he gets a couple of conversions. Seems like the RNG is not favoring him right now. Will not get a single conversion for the time being. And it looks like this TC is also going to be denied. Keep in mind that as things stand, TaToH is on a timer in terms of gold, as we will have 1 conversion here for a price of 2 monks that may be satisfactory. I would say for Miguel, tries to get some more conversions in, and he loses another monk. This was okay-ish fight, but it wasn't ideal by any means for Miguel. And the problem is that, as I said, he's behind by 12 vills. So okay fights are not enough for him. He's rushing up a market and rushing up a 4 TC on that gold mine. TaToH, on the other hand, dropping a castle. He knows exactly that he needs that gold and stone mine. And this is where keep check numbers will probably start rising for TaToH, and it's going to be increasingly difficult for Miguel to do anything against those. The initial camo numbers will be satisfactory to deal with the keep check, but once you have like 20 keep check, they suddenly start dominating the entire field. For now, Miguel doesn't have any siege weapons on the field. The castle goes up, giving access for TaToH to this gold mine and the stone mine. So now it's just a matter of booming, I believe, because TaToH still has a very consistent villager production, 10 villagers advantage that is steady. And it looks like TaToH also finds a way to idle some of the vills here for Miguel. Apparently TaToH wasn't looking here, and that's why he wasn't able to kill the vills. On this side, we'll have Ipchak coming in decent quantities for TaToH. Obviously, he's missing a lot of upgrades. So he doesn't have Botkin Arrow, he doesn't have Ballistics. He has Bloodlines and maybe even Husbandry, though. And that's going to help quite a bit, making those Skipjack impact for the beginning. Miguel is also buying stone. So he wants a castle, and I feel like, given the circumstances, this castle is actually pretty nice. Alternative would have been an even more aggressive castle somewhere on the right. But this will pretty much force TaToH to defend on this front. And that's going to be an important factor. And also, this will cut off TaToH's reinforcements from the left that are going to the right. TaToH will try to stop this one, but I don't think that he has the army right now to stop this. Although, if Miguel forces, or Miguel gets all of his army on the right side, TaToH might send a couple of Kipchaks to try and deny this one. Nice raid from TaToH here with the handful of Kipchaks that he possesses. It's worth pointing out that while Miguel does have a 13 villagers deficit, it's absolutely true that he's got Weber and he's got Boso, so it's not that bad for Miguel. Still, I think he's behind economically, and I think the score shows that, especially if he keeps losing vills like that. Another vill goes down, and these Kipchak can also try to pick off one or two more. On the bright side of things for Miguel, he's able to deny the stone mine, which means that TaToH is gonna have a tough time getting more Kipchak out. He consumed one of his stone mines already. He had to make a lot of towers. Look at this. TaToH made 6 towers, a bunch of TCs, 1 castle, which means that TaToH doesn't really have a huge amount of stone left to make multiple castles, and that he doesn't have the stone to mine right now because he lost that stone mine. It looks like TaToH will commit against the vills here from Miguel. You gotta wonder if this was worth it for TaToH though, because sure enough he kills quite a lot of vills, but his entire army is gone now, and we're talking about 21 versus 9 army. TaToH drops another castle here on the right side. He wants to secure this stone mine for himself. Miguel selling some stone over here and getting some food so he can keep his TCs working. Now Kipchaks coming in from TaToH though. Even without ballistics they can be devastating, and they just keep picking off vills. Now it's a 10-4 villager KD in the favor of TaToH. Nice move here with the archers. They could have killed 1 or 2 vills if TaToH is not paying attention, but TaToH reacts nicely, and it's gonna be cleaned up by 1 Kipchak. And now it's 2 castles versus 1, and this could actually start becoming a race into Imperial. And look at those resources. TaToH is imping. Wait, actually Miguel is the one imping. Miguel is the one imping, and that completely changes the entire landscape. TaToH is also imping, but Miguel's got a 1.5 minute advantage. And that's just enough to trap this castle down with hill advantage. The thing is that Miguel is up against 2 castles, so he's gonna need to take down 1 before his opponent reaches Imperial, otherwise he gets outnumbered by trap numbers. Also, TaToH's eco is a lot stronger, but Miguel's got the camos to keep these Kipchak contained, and trading camos to Kipchak is fairly reasonable here for Miguel, because Kipchak are much harder to replenish than camos are. So now the camos are coming in to try and clean up the remaining forces here for TaToH. And Miguel is also super heavy on stone, 13 vills on it. So you probably want to see a second castle for Miguel, maybe over here to deny that stone from the opponent. Could make quite a lot of sense. Kipchak trying their best with the hit and run tactics, but it's still going to be cleaned up by the camos more or less. And Miguel buying the stone that he needs, and that castle is going up indeed over here. In an effort to deny that stone and in an effort to contest that castle one-on-one up to Imperials, Miguel immediately queues up a trap as he should. And he also knows that he needs to get this second castle up though, because his opponent is not that far behind in Imperial Age timing. Miguel will need to start shelling this castle immediately with the hill advantage, as a random Mangonel just wanders around the base of TaToH, only to be destroyed by knights. So, right side, it looks like this castle is going up. TaToH is 30 seconds away from Imperial, and Miguel is going to have to queue up another trap here immediately. He just now goes for ballistics for his own Kipchak, as Miguel dives in on the left side with his forces to clean up TaToH's raiding force. But TaToH, look at how good he's using his army. This is... If TaToH wins the game, he's gonna win it because of this one. TaToH's unit control here has been absolutely magnificent. He has killed 28 vills, and he only lost 10. Now the traps are up, and TaToH knows he needs to repair. The right side is actually better for TaToH because he's got the hill here to trap down this castle. So it's very possible that we will see this castle going down from TaToH and this castle going down here for Miguel. But an even trade of castles actually favors our blue player by a massive margin. Number 1, because he's outnumbering his opponent 19-5 in Kipchak numbers. Number 2 is because Miguel keeps losing vills and he's down to 87, only 100 population in this one. TaToH trying his best to repair this castle right side. We do have traps being set up by both players. TaToH wisely positioning it on a hill. But behind this one, as I said, Miguel's eco is sort of collapsing. So He's just got 18 on food. That's barely enough to make those TCs work. And heavy CA for TaToH. That's an interesting decision because technically they are missing Bracer. But TaToH might have no other option because it seems like he's about to lose that castle. He doesn't have a single repair wheel on it, and if there is one way back into this game for Miguel, this could be the one. TaToH also finds these sneaky wheels here for Miguel, so Miguel's misery will continue here with just losing more and more wheels. So now it's no castles for TaToH. The winning condition for Miguel in this one, I would say, is to start steamrolling TaToH's base really fast. Like, take down production buildings, take down TCs, because one thing TaToH doesn't have is production right now. He's got the Kipchak, but not the production. He has 20 Kipchak overall, and if he loses those ranges, he's gonna have a hard time replenishing his units. Miguel is still at 101 villagers only, but if you start taking down those TCs, start taking down the production buildings, suddenly you could push TaToH into a pretty big hole here. Just keep grinding down buildings, and annihilating TaToH's eco might be satisfactory with the Kamikaze will not so efficient. Still, these traps are very exposed, and TaToH could try to dive in and snipe them with the traps. One TC went down, and Miguel sees the Cav Archers coming in. So he knows that it's going to be Cav Archers if he doesn't destroy the ranges. This is why he's focusing some of them down. Kipchak numbers or overall army numbers are still better for TaToH. But the Camels actually are here to sort of act as a very, very bad, but still, at least it's their type of a meat shield. So, Archers exchange fire here. It's only +1 defense for Miguel and no chemistry, whereas TaToH is not having ballistics in exchange, so both players still lacking quite a lot of upgrades. And as I said, now that the towers are going down, this is exactly what Miguel needs. He needs to breach TaToH's eco and then run in with a couple of Kipchak and do the exact same thing that he did to Miguel. And it's going to be a sticky stable up here on the far right. So it very much seems like Miguel wants to sneak a couple of units to the back of TaToH's base, but TaToH's army numbers are looking pretty decent, and don't underestimate those Cav Archers. Because the thing is that Cav Archers will still be a little bit tankier than Kipchak are, so 80 HP as opposed to 60, and while the Kipchak are much better at taking down traps, the Cav Archers will be a very, very nice filler unit. So the thing is that Miguel is at 12 army. So he is destroying TaToH's base, but he doesn't actually have army, and TaToH apparently is able to get a trap. Where did that trap even come from? Did he save this trap the entire game? Because it doesn't have another castle. It seems like TaToH saved this trap for this fight over here. TaToH is only on 1 TC, so if Miguel has the military advantage, Miguel should be able to do a lot of raiding. But that's a big if, and it very much seems like a couple of scouts with completely no upgrades, basically just forging on it, is not going to be satisfactory just to push TaToH's eco. In fact, this hurts more for Miguel, because Miguel just revealed that he's got a sneak here. And TaToH now looping around with Cav Archers. Once again, something that Miguel could have a really tough time against. And oh my goodness. This is all the gold income for Miguel. He's selling wood for awful price to get some gold for himself. He's trying to trap down TaToH's buildings, but he just doesn't have any resource income basically, because TaToH is doing a so good job at destroying his eco. So yeah, right now these scouts are so bad that they just die to the Veils here. It would be better to just wait until you have like 5 of them and pop them out or so. Still, as things stand, these Veils will be safe, but there is no gold income right now for Miguel, and despite the fact that he technically is supposed to be able to steamroll TaToH's base with, you know, traps and stuff like that, TaToH's got elite skirms, TaToH's got Cav Archers and Rams, and I feel like the big deal is that TaToH's eco was never severely damaged after Castle Age. The entire game, TaToH was the one that was playing as the aggressor. 57 Veils killed by TaToH, 14 only by Miguel. So after Jordan lost versus Sitaux, it very much seemed like this could be potentially an upset in the second game, but then Viper defeats Dogao very easily, and then Miguel also had a hard time against TaToH here, and I completely screwed up the scoreboard because it's 2-0 for Gamerlegion in this best of 5. So now we're going back to the team game stage. So No more gimmicky 1v1s. And I believe that it's going to be... I'll have to check the settings for this one. I will check out the settings. It's... Game number 3 is a random map from the map pack, 3 hidden civilizations, but they cannot repeat the civs that they picked in the first one. So we're going for a random map, which is good because it means it doesn't take forever for the players to set up the game. Anyways, I will bring in some water to drink, so I'll be back in a moment. Alright, I'm back. Sorry for that. So, as we are nearing the 8th hour of this stream, we will take a look at another 3v3 here. This is a 3v3 tournament, but as I said, this sort of 1v1 subsection of it kind of breaks the flow of team games. So we'll have to get back to that sort of team game mindset, if you may. And once again, it's going to be Miguel+Dogao and most likely Sitaux versus TaToH, Viper, and Jordan. We're just waiting for the Brazilian team to join up. Match point it is, so if Gamerlegion wins this game, then they will advance to the next round where they will fight against either Vietnam Legends, so that is ACCM, Say My Name, Bad Boy, and Song Song, or the team called Infinite After Pets, which is MBL, Nikov, Daniel, and Kaposh. So that's basically the two possibilities overall. Both of those could have a chance to win that set. That's going to be a close one overall. All right, so we will get ready with the next game over here. So we're just waiting for Dogao to arrive. It's going to be a random map from the map pack. And we shall continue onwards. So where is Dogao at? We're just waiting for him. When is Red Bull World 4? Qualifiers start in the 29th, so basically 2 weeks from now on. Did I cast the Leary versus Doubt match? I cast the first 2 games, but that wasn't planned to be casted, or at least I didn't plan to cast that today, so I switched to this set, this GL versus Heresy set in World Desert Championship, because that's what I promised that I am going to cast. Alright, everybody is in. So basically, this is going to be a random map from the map pack, and we will have hidden free pick, but you can't pick the civilizations that you already picked in the first round or the first game. That means that no Ethiopians and Britons and Persians for Heresy, and there is no... what are the civs? Vikings, Franks, and one more civilization. I don't remember what Jordan played in the first game. But yeah, Vikings, Franks are gone. But Ethiopians and Britons are still available for Gamerlegion. So they have a pretty decent lineup of civilizations left. Let's see if will we have a game. Not yet, but everybody is ready. It looks like Viper is going to be playing pocket once again. TaToH and Jordan will be flanks. And we're waiting for Miguel.Dogao+Sitaux to figure out who's going to be playing pocket and who's going to be playing a flank in here. So, World Desert Championship, $8,000 on the line. There is still quite a lot of good teams in here. So we have Suomi, we have Tempo still in there. We do not have White Wolf Palace though. Yo, Lix and Vivi actually lost Rulers of Rome in one of the previous sets. That was a massive upset. So one of the things that's special about this tournament is that there is so many unique and crazy maps that if you are unprepared for them, then you can get surprised very, very easily. And I think some of that may have happened in that specific set. So White Wolf Palace may have been caught off guard by ROR, which is still a strong team. So like ROR is actually a very, very strong team, but you would have expected White Wolf Palace to win that no problem. So it looks like we're just waiting for the players to get going, especially TaToH is the one that is AFK, so that is why we're not launching right now. But we don't know the map, as that is going to be a random map from the map pack. We know that, let's think about civilizations. So TaToH is going to be playing Britons, Viper will play Burgundians, and Jordan will be playing with something that they haven't figured out yet, but he's gonna have to pick another archer civilization flank overall. So Burgundian's pocket, we will see how Viper feels about that one. And it very much feels like TaToH is on the phone, and that's why we're still waiting for him to come back. All right. It looks like he's back, and we should be good to go with game number 3 here. Gamerlegion A versus Heresy, Miguel+Dogao, and Lan. It looks like Jordan's gonna be playing Mayans, so it's Mayans, Britons, Burgundians versus the Brazilians, having Miguel's pocket in Franks, and I think that Dogao+Sitaux hasn't figured out who's going to be playing pocket and who's going to be playing a flank in this one. (2-0) is the score. If GL wins this, then they advance to the next round. If not, then we'll have some additional games coming in here. The prize money for losing in the quarterfinals is $300, which means that basically each player from the losing team, which currently seems to be Heresy, would be getting around $100. It's less for Heresy because technically they have 4 players, although Lan didn't play a single game in the tournament yet, so he might actually sort of be a backup in this one. I'm not sure what the reason behind this, but I know that Lan usually has internet issues, so maybe like maybe the situation is that Lan doesn't feel confident playing in tournaments with bad internet, and it's very possible that's the case. So if that's really the situation, then well, that's very unfortunate, and I hope it actually gets figured out, because Lan is a great player, but he is getting seriously bottlenecked by the fact that he's got bad internet. We have seen that a lot of times, and a bad internet can actually cause a lot of issues in the long run. Like, especially when it comes to microing, But as far as I know, LAN's internet was awful. So it looks like we're going to have a Sitaux play flank, and Dogao is also going to be playing flank in here. So Miguel will be pocket with Franks, and on the other side, we're going to have Burgundian pocket from Viper's team here. And we're just waiting for TaToH to get ready, and we can get going with the next game. Game number 3. Coming in. Gamerlegion A versus Heresy Esports, a team that was sort of a springboard for many players to get to other teams, basically. So many high-level players started in Heresy back then. We had, I think, Nili was playing for them, for example. Sitaux, was Sitaux always... No, I'm confusing things, but Sitaux, I don't think he played for Heresy ever, but Eddie did. So another French player. As we jump into the next game, this is going to be, as I said, a random map in the map pool. And oh my goodness, what on the earth is this? All right. We don't know the exact name of the map because it just tells us that this is a random map from the map pack. But whatever it may be, we're going to have Gamerlegion to the south in cold colors. We'll have Jordan as Mayans in teal flank. Other flank is going to be TaToH as Britons in blue. And in the pocket, we will have Viper as Burgundians in green. To the north, we will have Sitaux as Chinese flank in red. Other flank is going to be Dogao in purple. And the pocket is going to be a good old-fashioned Franks pick from Miguel. The map itself seems fairly standard in terms of resources. Oh my goodness. Why do I have a feeling that this map could turn into an awful pain? So let's summarize what we see. And let's summarize why this map could be painful to watch. It could be interesting, but this could be a painful map. The outside is very easy to wall off on both sides, which means there is a chance that there will be stalemate on the outside, just like, let's say, hideout. But if you look at the middle, all these rocks are surrounding quite a bit of gold. So if you want to go for a huge amount of gold mining, then you're going to have to expand over here. So there could be a lot of narrow choke point fights over here. So this is the typical map that could result in a stalemate. The good news is that it probably won't, because you will have markets being set up by the players for trading. So I don't think that this gold in the middle is actually going to be important. And also, indeed, there is cracked terrain in the middle, which means that buildings on this terrain actually take extra damage. So we're gonna have, it looks like a laming attempt here from Dogao. They really want to win this one, and so much so that Jordan is gonna have to call a pause here. So, one more being stolen here by Dogao could work out nicely, because, wait, laming is not allowed? Laming is not allowed? I don't know. Oh yeah, Jordan is just not asking. Well, in this case, what Dogao needs to do is just run back. Like, he actually just needs to run back home. Because the thing is that the board will de-aggro, and it's not going to do that much damage. It's not ideal, that's absolutely true, but I don't think that this requires an admin decision here. All you need to do is just run away. It's not going to delay Jordan's boar, and Dogao won't actually suffer from any deficit because he can just garrison that ego and heal it. So yeah, just run away, the board will de-aggro, and it's gonna go back, and your opponent can actually pick the other boar until then. So you wouldn't have lured this boar here anyways. I feel like this is something that doesn't need to be overcomplicated. Although it's not great that, you know, players don't know the rules, but still. Like, see, no harm done. Jordan, he wasn't delayed at all with his boar. In fact, the player that actually gets hurt more by this one is Dogao, because Dogao is the one that lost HP on his scout, so I guess he got his punishment for not reading the rules of the event. So, let's see the other side, because I'm not sure if sheep laming is allowed. One thing is sure, TaToH's got 4 sheep over here that he's not sending back home. I wonder what's up with these. TaToH? TaToH's got some sheep back at home. I'm fairly certain that at least 2 of these sheep actually belong to the opponent. Can't lame sheep either? Why? I mean, I understand the completely no laming rules, but now in this case it's a big challenge. Figure out which patch belongs to who. Because I think one of these patches actually belongs to Sitaux and the other one belongs to TaToH. And I guess the reason why TaToH is not bringing these back is because he believes that this belongs to the opponent. But I'm fairly certain one of those patches should be belonging to him because he only has 3 sheep back at home. And you would normally have something like 6 to work with, right? So I think 2 of these belong to TaToH. 2 of these belong to Sitaux. But TaToH probably doesn't know that those belong to Sitaux. This is why sheep laming is never forbidden, especially when there is a map pack which have potential close spawns, because you can't figure out who has those sheep, or who are they supposed to belong to. So we're gonna have a barracks coming in here for Dogao. Drush already on the way for our tier player, Jordan, and I like this strategy quite a bit. You can just wall yourself up on the outside very easily and secure that corner for trading. Same thing that GL's gonna do. And we could be in for an absolutely disgusting and super long stalemate here. Because, look at Viper, by the way. His teammates are like, let's wall from the middle to the edge of the map. Both of his teammates have quite a lot of work to do. Viper is like, oh yeah, I can wall this, easy peasy. So, he just needs to add a couple of tiles of walls in the middle. So, it looks like Dogao is going to try and chase this down with his own militias. Remember, his ego is slightly weaker because of that laming attempt before. And it very much seems like we're going to have some fast castles here. It looks like Dogao is thinking about a Drush FC here, or at minimum Drush Archers. But he's adding farms, so it feels more like a Drush FC to me. Other side, Drush coming in from TaToH, and the Drush could be hitting the wood line of Sitaux here. Sitaux trying to wall it off. That's actually a very, very nice and easy wall off on this. It's not even a wood line. This is actually a bunch of cactus. Now, I don't think that the cactus actually give you any wood, because they're not actually choppable trees. So these cactus are just placeholders. Like, this feels like a big wood line, but it's actually pretty small. The cactus is just a big jabate. As I said, this map has a lot, or this tournament has a lot of gimmicky and crazy maps. So, cacti that are just jabate like that is something that I'm not even surprised about. So, now it seems like GL is just going to be fully walled, and in fact, we are going to have 3 fast castles here for GL. Traditional Drush FC from Jordan. It looks like it's a naked fast castle from Viper, and it's going to be a Drush FC as well from TaToH. Other side, we already have archer range coming in here for Sitaux, but what is he going to do versus these walls? I don't know. Like, it's technically possible to get through these walls, but it's very, very unlikely, I would say. Notice how much better GL's walls are, by the way. Like, Dogao has to wall himself, then Miguel has to wall himself as well. And this is really showcasing it at Miguel's base. Miguel has to do this much walling to be safe. Viper has to do this much. So, in this case, I believe the team walls are absolutely worth it. Archers popping out for Sitaux to clean up these militias here. It's not going to be a huge amount of damage that TaToH is able to do with this, but he forced the red player to defend here and do some walling. And every delay that you can actually cause with your drush is perfect. So, like, TaToH still has the sheep over here because it doesn't know who that sheep belongs to. If this was like a... If sheep laming was allowed in this tournament, TaToH would have 4 extra sheep with Britons, which is just a dream scenario. And it looks like all Heresy players but Dogao scores is play all 5. Why is it saying play all 5? I've never actually said that. That was weird. Thanks for letting me know. Like, I wasn't even looking at there because the default setting is best of 5, and I've never actually casted a play all 5, I think, in the last, what, half a year. Now, it looks like the scouts actually get in here. And one of the weaknesses of a team war is that if one player fails, all of them could be in trouble. So it very much seemed like Jordan was late with these gates here on the left side. Contains it quite nicely. There's 2 scouts inside, but both of these are fairly weak. So, after all, I don't think it matters. It might actually cause some damage, but I don't think it's going to be significant. Militias are getting cleaned up over here from TaToH, and so will this scout be cleaned up. But as I said, you see that TaToH is just adding buildings behind, and he will just make sure that these archers will be delayed just enough for him to hit Castlage and get a couple of crossbows with the Briton range advantage. If TaToH gets to like 3 crossbows with Briton range, he will just pick these archers off and he will deny the entry here. So I don't think that this is gonna be problematic for TaToH whatsoever. He might need to abandon his gold mine temporarily, which is not ideal, but there is some gold here at the back to work with, so he has seen worse days. And these militias will try to venture through the middle here, which has some wolves around, so they might bump into a couple of them. As things stand, in terms of castlage times, Dogao is also going up, but the bigger deal is that Miguel is not going up just yet. Obviously, the fact that he's getting to feudal first and adding a lot of farming eco, all with horse color, makes his eco very efficient, but keep in mind that Viper is Burgundians. So Viper already has heavy plow, and he also has boso. That's why Viper is actually, like, for Viper it's actually worth to pull off a fast castle here. So, we are gonna have Viper with free TC boom, heavy plow, and boso. Crazy economy. With Burgundians, he can just boom up and then flood the map with paladins immediately. And the thing is that Heresy is wide open. So, like, we have some team wars being set up now by Dogao, but they're still wide open all the way around. And 20 Cavalier even is going to steamroll everything, let alone Paladin. I think Viper will just boom here. So you see that he's got the 2 Castle Age eco upgrades already. So that's why it's actually worth it for him to go for a fast castle. Oftentimes with a cavalry player, it's not worth it to FC because you're gonna have a bunch of farms that will be without horse color. But in this case, it's actually good because he could get the upgrades anyways. And on the other side, you see that Miguel is still behind in castlage timing compared to him. So, if this was anything other than Burgundians, then Miguel's eco would probably be slightly stronger upon hitting castlage, and that will allow him to transition to a free TC boom easier. That being said, we're going to have crossbows from Dogao trying to push Jordan's base. I like how Jordan had the second layer of houses, so these crossbows can't get in. Second layer of palisades coming in as well. Maybe even some stone walls could be something to consider here for Jordan. He went for defensive siege workshop for the time being, goes for a second TC. Other side, it looks like the aggression is now gone, and TaToH can unpop his crossbows. The thing is that Sitaux has to withdraw, and he's still 40 seconds away from Castle Age. He's at 17 archers, soon to be crossbows, but TaToH is already at soon to be 14, with Botkin missing right now for TaToH, so he's gonna have the same range as the opponent with Botkin. Jordan, for now, he's gonna have to hold the far left side with a Mangonel, and we are going to have a free TC boom as well for Miguel in the pocket. Now, if we look at the left side, it looks like Heresy will concentrate their forces on the left side of the map with crossbows and knights, but still, they don't really have a good answer to mangonel defense or... Yeah, basically, mangonel defense at walls will be tough for Heresy to break here. So they got crossbows, they got scouts and knights, but not really something very significant. And look at Viper. It's just Viper things. He's going to bring in a couple of monks to pick up the relics. All 5 relics are in the middle, so Viper should have no trouble picking up 3 or 4. And remember that it's Burgundian relics, so they also generate food for the Viper. It's not just about the gold. That's a nice added benefit. Overall, crossbows coming in here though, and it looks like that opened up these walls a little bit prematurely, especially because he seems to be surprised about the elite skirms, and Sitaux looking sharp in this one. He pushes TaToH from his gold mine, and more importantly, he separates the reinforcement crossbows from the rest of the group. Now the thing is that these crossbows will take quite a bit of a beating here on the right side, but now the team walls are broken through, and that's exactly what you want to avoid when you're doing team walls. So these crossbows will now start marching towards Viper's base, and now TaToH will be constantly forced to chase this one. TaToH is also 1 TC only. His opponent, Sitaux, is adding a TC as well. This is actually looking decent for Heresy, but keep in mind that Viper is gonna have a completely untouched boom for quite a lot of time, just now going for barracks. This is how untouched Viper was, basically. So, the problem now for Viper is that if those crossbows actually hit his eco, then he's defenseless. On the other hand, TaToH should be able to clean this one up with his own army, and the left side is still something that Jordan holds. So, as things stand, I feel like Viper is gonna be having a somewhat untouched play here. Still no stable. He might lose a couple of wheels to these crossbows, as it looks like Sitaux was trying to detach a couple of elite skirms to try and fight TaToH's crossbows, and just send a couple of crossbows into the pocket to try and do some damage. I think Sitaux is quite a bit ahead of TaToH right now, which is a nice thing for Heresy, but it may be insufficient because Viper is actually dropping Castle on the left side, and we might not even see Paladins, we might see Custoliers, as we are going to have 3 wheels going down here for Viper, and it looks like he's going to end up going for Cavalier. I'm not sure why he's grabbing a castle this early then, probably because Jordan doesn't have the stone to drop a defensive castle, so Viper actually had to drop it for him. A castle drop is coming in for Dogao as well, as those crossbows are still rampaging the eco of Viper, forcing Viper to add army earlier than he wanted to, I believe. Right side, however, TaToH's defense here is now good, so Sitaux won't have any more reinforcements coming in, and the Viper is going to be able to clean this one up. He's got Cavalier in, tries to trap this army. Viper ends the day with... where is that? 5 villagers lost, far from ideal, that's for sure, but he's got a castle up here, which will hold this front line for the time being. Dogao, if he gets to an early Imperial Age, he can actually get traps out and take it down. But once again, Viper is at 89 wills, the best in the game, goes into Imperial, and he already has Cavalier, so upon hitting Imperial, he's gonna be able to click Paladin immediately. TaToH trying to push up with a couple more crossbows, and it looks like, given the fact that Sitaux is playing with quite a lot of skirmishers, just a couple of Cavalier could cause insane damage here. Viper even grabbing Fletching, because he wants to have a bigger range for his castle. It's all about that. Obviously damage output matters as well, but Viper just wants that castle to be able to hold this, and you see that immediately in the moment that Dogao switches angle, Jordan's gonna go for another castle to react. So they will just be able to hold this site long enough, I believe, and indeed, as expected, the Cavalier will charge in, killing most of the skirmishers. And the big deal is that Viper is gonna have a massive advantage to Paladin compared to Miguel. Obviously, Miguel's Paladin will be way better, and oh, that's smart. That's actually very smart from Miguel. I love it. What they're thinking about is that Viper would probably unleash his cavalry in the middle, so Miguel actually stonewalls this. Now, Viper can still come out at TaToH's gates, it's not the end of the world, but it's a nice low touch, I like the idea. In that one, Miguel actually catches up in eco compared to Viper, but he's behind by 2 minutes to Imp, and remember that he's gonna have to research Cavalier as well before he can get to Paladin, whereas Viper will click Paladin immediately upon hitting Imp. So, let's see, Imperial Age for Dogao coming in, that's the bigger deal here, because Jordan has to get into Imperial, otherwise his castles will be trapped down. However, once Viper has a decent amount of Paladins, he can try sniping traps. And it seems like Viper and TaToH will try to break through over here. Anonymous Cheerer, thank you so much for the 1100 bits. I appreciate that a lot. Thank you, thank you. So, as things stand, TaToH brings in a couple of crossbows to pick off some vills from Miguel. Miguel brings in his knights. He's gonna have good numbers by the time he gets to Imperial. The problem is this. In 2 minutes, we are looking into Burgundian Paladins from Viper, whereas in 2 minutes we won't even have Cavalier for Miguel, so he's gonna get severely out-teched here, and it's going to be a massive concern. Market's being set up by Gamerlegion, as Miguel is just trying to stonewall the middle, TaToH actually trying to stonewall the middle as well. And I guess the idea is that he wants to trap this army in here and also secure a lot of mineable gold. Because yes, obviously in the long run, trade is gonna be the primary source of gold for you, but that mineable gold is still a nice extra, especially until you don't have a good trade running. So securing that could be a nice advantage, as it looks like TaToH is going to be able to dive in here with a couple of crossbows, picks off some vills, and this is what could be concerning for Miguel. That he's gonna be delayed grabbing his upgrades. Each team is going to have one player that will be sort of stuck in Castle Age. That's going to be TaToH and Sitaux. Sitaux is trying to jump around with his crossbows here with +2 defense. TaToH's crossbows don't even have a single defensive upgrade, so TaToH should lose this fight because he's not using the Britons to their big advantage. Trap fight on the left side. I think Viper is just waiting for the Paladins to strike, and as I said, he's got +2/+4 Paladins when Miguel is halfway into Cavalier, and Jordan's gonna have to delete these Policides here, because you want to have maximum surface area for Viper's Paladins. Jordan has to delete those Policides, but it looks like Knights will be sufficient to bash their way through as well. One trap goes down, make it 2. Nice snipe over here from Viper, exactly what they needed. Taking down the traps and preventing the siege from continuing. Even more so, allowing Viper's traps to trap down this castle from Dogao over here. And now Dogao's base is wide open, I would say. We're talking about Paladins versus Cavalier. And Viper is already knocking on these walls, although the Mangonel should keep him out for the time being. TaToH is also crawling towards the right-hand side corner in an effort to deny trade, and remember that GL doesn't have to win this one immediately. They can just play the long game, set up their trade, something that they have already started doing, especially because TaToH is trying his best to fortify the wall up the middle and just prevent their opponents from accessing gold from there. Viper, 22 Paladins right now, and I see Chemistry coming in, most likely for a couple of Hand Cannoneers even, in case a Halberdier switch occurs. And yeah, Plumed Archer and Burgundian Paladin right now is better than the Plumed Archer versus Frankish Cavalier, and this is the timing issue that Miguel is facing. That he still needs 2 more minutes to get into Paladin. He was later to Imp because his eco was slightly weaker, and even more importantly, he actually has to research Cavalier and Imp, which buys a lot of time for Viper to use those Paladins to something. Nice move from Miguel to dive in on the traps. Only one of them goes down though, another castle collapses, so now Dogao is going to have a tough time accessing stone, and remember that the left side of his walls are made out of, well, wood. So Poliside walls will go down pretty easily. TaToH is imping as well, so is Sitaux, but Sitaux is going to beat TaToH to Imperial by a massive margin. Still, at this point, GL has 92 army and only 32 for Heresy. And with these castles going down, Dogao doesn't have any production. Like, Dogao was trying to go for Plumed Archers, but without castles, say goodbye to Plumed Archers, and I feel like Dogao might just get overrun by Paladins here. And despite the fact that Sitaux technically have the upper hand over TaToH, the thing is that I'm not sure if Heresy has the ability to stop this push on the left side, especially because Plumed Archers will beat the Arbalests on the field all day, all night. Dogao is also dropping in will count. He's got 0 army. He's losing TCs, he's about to lose castles, and soon Paladins will just try to overrun him. Miguel still has the middle, and Sitaux might be able to try pushing the right side, but at this point it's 100 army against 30 only, and as I said, castles will fall one after another, and there is just going to be no chance for Dogao to actually rebuild his army. And now Paladins are inside Dogao's eco, so they can start rampaging it and just push Dogao down to 60-something wills. Dogao is at 90, which is basically the very minimum for Mayans long term, but you don't want to lose more than that. And I feel like he will, because wherever I look, Viper's Paladins are just devastating that eco. And Viper is at 40 Paladins, Miguel is at 21, although those Paladins are slightly better. I feel like it's all about the attention of Miguel will be stretched out too far. And you see that Sitaux had to bring in all his crossbows from the right to help out here. I think that tells you a lot about the significance of this push. And Dogao is just going to die here. He's got 0 eco left soon. And TaToH is an Imperial, and considering that Sitaux had to divert all his forces to the left, and Sitaux has only 13 army himself, he's going to overrun on the right side in a moment. Because TaToH is up, he's Britain, so he's gonna have Werewolf traps to win trap wars. And as things stand, Dogao is just sort of dead. Still double the army right now for Gamerlegion, and it seems like GL is going to just steamroll Heresy over here and end the set with a 3-0 scoreline. The only game that Heresy was able to win was in the subset of the second point. The first game of that best of 3 was won by Sitaux versus Jordan, but other than that, in the team games, GL just seemed a lot more dominant. I feel like GL played this game with a slightly better game plan. They realized that this map could be sort of that late game style map, so you don't need to be super aggressive in Castle Age, you just need to defend well. And Gamerlegion is going to win this game in all certainty, because I just don't know how Sitaux's team is going to stop this one, though Siege Rams is something that Britons struggle against. That's totally true. But look at TaToH. This is something we completely forgot about. TaToH actually snuck a couple of archer ranges in the right-hand side corner, only to make elite skirms that will just deny trade. It's all about that, and even if somehow Heresy holds on against this one, only Miguel has any trade cards. He's at 15. None of the other 2 players have trade cards, compared to GL, where Jordan and Viper have trade cards both, and TaToH is going to have the middle. So I feel like at this point, the fact that GL played a little bit greedier game is playing off. Slam does play in this tournament, but he's not on Gamerlegion Team A, he's on Team B with Doubt, Slam, and Nilly. So that's GLB. I think they play on Sunday versus Tempo. So you're going to see Doubt, Slam, and Nilly versus Leary, Hart, and Hera. Nope, Hart hasn't joined the Tempo, but they need the 3rd player, and Hart became the one for this event, but he's not a member of Tempo Storm. Light cavalry from the pocket is a disturbing sight, especially if you are Franks, because Frankish light cavalry is quite underwhelming, and I feel like this many plumed archers plus paladin support should be satisfactory to at least, say, hold off this push from Heresy to a point where GL will start capitalizing on the trade. Right side, actually, Dogao is dead. Dogao is super dead. But right side, TaToH is having a tough time. TaToH is definitely having a tough time here against the Siege Ram. Britons in general are having a tough time against Siege Ram. Now, TaToH is doing his best to deny this cancel, and he might be able to. But I think that all they need to do is just send in some paladins from Viper to the right side. Remember that Dogao is dead, so yeah, indeed, they will just tap out, because no matter what, the Frankish paladins actually cleaned up the Burgundian paladins, but you are still supposed to destroy 60 plus elite plumed archers, in fact 78 of them. And I feel like this is the moment where Jordan can hold the left side alone. 78 plumes should be satisfactory to deal with the Paladins, or if not, he can always switch into Halberdiers because the left side has 0 archer support. So, because there is no archer support here as Dogao was dead, you can just switch to Halberdiers and just finish off the game with Hab and Siege Ram for the Mayans, and Viper can just shift his attention to the right side, which was basically a handful of Arbalasts, but mostly skirmishers and siege rams. Viper should have no trouble cleaning this one up. And with that, Gamerlegion A wins this set. We will have them go into the semifinals to face either MBL Nikov, Daniel, and Kaposh, or Vietnam Legends, ACCM Say My Name, Bad Boy, and Song Song. That could go either way. I think that the semifinals are next weekend, but the other quarterfinals will be this weekend, so I will also be casting that.